Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the 362nd edition of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. I'm your host Steve Wellings, and joining me on the call we have Gabe Lewis, Andy Patterson, and rapping Rob Kelly. Glad to be serving you all as always this Sunday evening, where we go live on mixler.com/Boxing Asylum from 8pm. The Patreon RSS feed updates shortly after the show concludes. Catch us on Mondays on YouTube, Soundcloud, and iTunes. Later on, we shall be swooning over Chocolito, Chocolocaloca Latito, whatever Matthew Macklin is calling it right now. Chocowocalito, goodness knows. Commending Jay Harris as well, looking back over Fury versus Wilder, reading out your questions, Bellew of the Weeks, much more. Glad you could join us, everybody in the chat, getting heated up for a good evening's chatter. Saturday the 29th of February was last night. Over in Texas, we had Mikey Garcia winning a unanimous decision over 12 rounds against Jesse Vargas. As rapping Rob Kelly was saying off air there, Vargas not quite doing enough to get the draw. Or he got the loss anyway, didn't he? 116, 111 on two cards. 114, 113, probably a little bit too tight on the third card. Vargas down in round 5. The vacant WBC Diamond welterweight title was on the line. Why that was vacant, I cannot tell. Great title, as far as I'm concerned, Andy. Should Mikey Garcia really be down in weight, maybe 140 or something? Do you think he should have fought the likes of Jesse Vargas first and then worked up to a fight with Errol Spence? He sort of went in at the deep end, doesn't really want to lose the weight, he's still hanging around higher than his natural weight. He needs to be down at 140 at least, you would imagine?
I would imagine so, but he's, the way he's talking, he's going to be hanging about. He's wanting, I think he's suicidal, kind of like talking about a rematch with Spence. Well, I suppose maybe not at this point, but then but Spence has got left. But even Pacquiao at that point, I mean, I watched Garcia there last night, and I kind of like had to go back to it after 8 rounds because, okay, it was a good knockdown, it was a good combination, good right hand, but as you say, he's very kind of soft at the weight, isn't he defined? Vargas was kind of like talking about this fight, before it was signed and that, he was kind of saying that the main sticking point was going to be the weight. He's obviously made the weight, what was it, 147, but Vargas has been decent value for money over the years, and as you say, he would have been probably a good gatekeeper status type fighter to kind of tune up for likes of Garcia, likes of Spence. But at the end of the day, he is what he is. He's kind of flipped between the weights. He's picking up odd belts here, big paydays there. He's just basically kind of like doing the rounds and that. What is he, 32 now? So I think he's kind of aiming for the Pacquiao fight, because obviously that was Bob Arum's big plan, I think, way back in the day when he had both fighters, was for Garcia to kind of take over the mantle for Pacquiao at some point. But Garcia just hasn't that type of personality. He hasn't got that kind of crossover appeal. I thought he was kind of sometimes as well kind of like safety first as well. He just he had the Vargas down, and I like he kind of seen him like kind of press it. But I don't know if it's because of the weight. He is kind of fighting these bigger guys, but I think a Garcia doing it 135 definitely would be an absolute force. Definitely 140 as well. I think he would give a lot of questions to a lot of fighters. I'd love to see Garcia against Taylor at 140. I know Garcia's mentioned the likes of fighting Josh as well, but I think that'll need to happen up at 147, because I think Garcia, as you say, or what's been said before, we all know welterweight's a big money division. You've got the supposed names: Spence, Crawford, Garcia, Porter, all there. Taylor could move up at some point, maybe Ramirez at some point as well. But last night he did what he did, but I think he kind of took his foot off the gas and allowed it to get kind of close in the cards. I know some people had scored it for Vargas and that as well, but I wasn't kind of close to fully scoring it as such. But I thought it was quite a close-ish fight that maybe that Garcia just shaded, but purely basically on the knockdown. Maybe I could say the punches and that as well, but it did, I think, allow it to get too close on the cards.
Gabe, I know Mikey Garcia is making good money. It's all about the money for him. He wasn't happy with the way Bob Arum treated him. We were talking about Andre Ward and that as well. These fighters, we wanted to see them get well paid, but not to the detriment of their careers. I know that Mikey's doing well for himself. He's won multiple titles, getting good checks, but it almost feels to me, Gabe, like he's arsing about to a certain extent when he should be doing his best work right now, when he's at his prime. He doesn't look physically like he's in his prime. Lovely boxer, really textbook, picks his punches lovely, and he's great to watch, but he just feels to me like he's just arsing around a little bit, and I'd like to see him take advantage of his best years and fight the best available operators.
Yeah, I would like to see him fight the best people around too at 140 pounds. I don't think he's a 147 pounder. I mean, look at him, his belly is big. His midsection is larger. I wonder if Eddie was mentioning how he felt he took his foot off the gas. I thought that he maybe was slowing down because of the weight. Maybe, I don't know. It just seems like maybe it would be a struggle for his body to adapt and be able to carry that through 12 rounds. I mean, my biggest issue with what he's doing right now is more along the lines of the fact that, yeah, he's still a good fighter, but he can't punch with 147-pound guys. And I've been on record as not being a Jesse Vargas fan before, but I believe the guy doesn't know what he is. He doesn't know who he is. You see him in the last few fights that he's had get kind of drawn into this battle in bits and certain points, and so he's trading punches and he's throwing big punches, which is always great, but he's not a natural power puncher. He never really has been. And you would think that if he did have some real viable power last night, he could have changed the way things were, but he was pretty much kind of going with whatever Mikey did. And I didn't feel like he ever, maybe say the first few rounds, led the fight in a way that made me feel like, okay, he's starting to take over a little bit. I mean, he obviously had his moments, but I just feel like he doesn't really know who he is. So when you look at Mikey beating him, yeah, it's definitely a good win, but he wasn't able to slow him, Jesse Vargas down enough, despite being, considered a pretty stout power puncher. So I think he needs to go back down to 140. I think maybe if he is doing some, weightlifting and some natural ways to build some muscle up and come up a little bit differently than just having, gained weight, whatever that means, a whole lot or drinking a whole lot. I think that he needs to go back to 140. But the fight overall, it wasn't really that great to watch, but it wasn't horrible either. Just kind of a solid fight. I did think that it was closer than it needed to be. I thought Garcia could have put the pedal to the metal, but I don't know that he was able to. Already said.
Gabe, not too impressed then. The guys in the chat are having a little chat to themselves. Take Ames is hanging around as usual. Swaggy Taggy, Trading Leather Boxing, Matt Russell, Barn Dog. Just flicking down here. CD Bean, Lee IFL Frotch as well, Mr. Dermo, Joseph Wolstenhume, welcome to you, Bummy Bear, JG. Yeah, I don't really give the chat much love, do I? So I'm going to give him a bit of a shout out here. Merc Blood, Mark Boxio, Iceberg Slim, MB, always one of our regulars, Tosh as well, Iceberg Slim, welcome. I think I mentioned him twice. What about rapping Rob Kelly? It's a big night when Rob is on from the start. Someone in the YouTube comments, Rob, this week was saying, why do you call him Rapid Rob Kelly? Someone put him right and said it's rapping. But I'm happy to change it. I'm happy to change it, Rob, to Rapid.
He's a prick, him, boxing stoner. He had something else to say another week. You think I'd like him with a name like that? He said something along the lines of, Rob Kelly thinks he's cool with his accent. Calm down, you're from a bog road. And as I pointed out to him, I don't live on a bog road. I live on a millionaire's row, so the only problems I have are with me garden. If he wants to come down and help me out with the garden, I definitely give him a shovel. And I can't help me accent, dude.
Wasn't meaning to cause beef here, Rob.
You know what I mean? That's the way we speak down.
How the fuck you meant to say, sorry mate, I've put on an accent here for you. You're fucking Irish, man.
That's me accent. That's the one I was. Apparently, I'm trying to be all cool with my accent. All cool. The Wexford accent is often imitated, never duplicated. What a fucking prick. But anyway, no.
Hang on, Rob. I think Gabe's jumping in here to back you up. I think Gabe's jumping in. Go on, Gabe.
I was just going to ask about the the shovel.
No, you said calm down. You live on a bog road.
We'll dig his own grave.
On a bog road here, asshole. But
might do a Brookside, Rob. Maybe bury the body in the back garden.
That's kind of what I was wondering if that was the implication.
Well, you can draw your own conclusions. It's one thing for sure. It wouldn't be like Kel Brookside. You don't get stabbed in the leg.
Brookside close with Jackie Dicko. Sorry, Rob. Go on.
Well, yeah, just on the fights on Garcia. I fucking remember 5-6 years ago, I was one of the biggest Mikey Garcia fans out there, and
we lost Rob.
Am I the only one who can't hear him?
I can't hear him.
probably come back here.
We're losing
What's
you,
the
Rob.
guys
We
vis-
might have lost you.
I think the guys came to the front garden, I think.
I think he's been shot by Boxing Stoner.
Probably went outside with a set of head shears.
Aye. You dead, Rob? Oh, not another death on air. Can't cope with this. You may get Ben Weinstein on line 1. He's definitely iced, isn't he?
He's going to jump back on, he says.
Yeah, Rob's going off. He's going to jump back on. Andy, you might as well jump in here. I was going to ask Rob this anyway, but Jesse Vargas, he's a bit hit and miss, but to his credit, as I was saying off air again, he always brings the fight. He doesn't stand back.
Mm-hmm.
He does. He could have not quit, but he could have took a knee and sort of felt sorry for himself after he got dropped, because he did okay in the early rounds, but he didn't. He carried on plugging away like he did against Bradley, and you got to give him credit for he's not quitter, is he, Vargas?
No, I mean, he's been in with he has been in the top names, I suppose. I mean, Pacquiao, okay at this point. What was that, a couple of years back? Been with Bradley. I think he'd been with DeMarco, the one that fought Valerio. Alec Verdiev. Even when he fought on the Flood undercards and stuff like that, he was always match tough. So he's been value for money. I mean, end of the day, he'll always bring it to you. But I think at this point as well, I think he's outlived his time at 147. As I said, he was trying to kind of angle himself into a catch weight for this fight, and basically had to kind of give way to it and come down and weight to 147. His better days are, but if he's going to have better days, he's going to have to be at 154, maybe at lighter catch weights. I mean, he did fight old man Soto as well. He's been over the course in that as well. So he had the 2 draws with Delorme and Brunner, which are decent names, I suppose, and decent fighters at this point. But as it says, anybody come up and wait, so see, like, for example, Josh Taylor come up and wait and be waiting for like a title fight, and that Vargas would be your kind of ideal opponent for like Josh Taylor, kind of coming up and wait, a good feeler, as you say, mate, or as you asked the question, if Garcia had fought Vargas before he fought like Spence and stuff, he'd have kind of known what it was to kind of deal with kind of like weight wise, because I think Vargas and Spence are roughly around about the same size of dudes, and basically probably roughly rehydrate the same as well. So that would have been a kind of a good match. But I think he'll do the rounds. He'll get passed around about and stuff. But I think his shelf life now at title level is definitely over, and will basically become that journeyman or gatekeeper status as well from this point forward.
Rob, let's check in back with you. The chat is saying perhaps it could be a case of rigid Rob Kelly. Hopefully he's still safe out there.
No, I'm all fluid, baby. I'm fluid.
Sounding good.
Yeah, no, sorry. It's just when I'm leaving the gaff and jumping off the Wi-Fi, it normally disconnects. But yeah, I was a bit massive Mikey Garcia fan. Still am, really. From a technical point of view, I think he's absolutely beautiful fighter to watch. And when he was at featherweight, up to lightweight there, he was absolutely brilliant. Super featherweight up to lightweight, rather. Absolutely brilliant. I mean, his technique and his boxing IQ is second to none. The way he throws that, right, even when he dropped Vargas last night, the left hook, you've seen him knock Fellas Sparko with that left hook before. Set it up with the left hook, and then saw Vargas had a little wobble, just took the little step back through the right hand straight and dropped him. Absolutely perfect fighter. I'd always thought that ring IQ that he got came from just generations of fighters. You see it a little bit with Floyd, completely surrounded by fighters, father, the uncle, the other uncle, grew up in the gym. Pretty similar with Mikey Garcia. Robert Garcia is the brother, Big G, the granddad is a boxing trainer as well. They got Robert Garcia's son is a trainer as well. So, I think that's where he picks up his boxing IQ. A little bit of a hard guy to root for. I don't know if it's the fact that he's an ex-copper or that he's just a bit serious. He doesn't really engage in any trash talking. Kind of wildly took the fight with Errol Spence when he didn't belong in the ring with him, and I don't believe he belongs at 147. I think he has a belly on him like me on a Sunday after a weekend of fucking eating junk food. Like, he looked very soft around the midsection last night. He's like a blown up fucking lightweight fighting at welterweight. And his career, I was rooting for him to get paid as much money as he can, but his career since leaving Aram has been in the fucking can, man. Like, he hasn't gone with Al. He was supposed to go with Floyd. He didn't go with Floyd, so he went on a kind of one fight deal here, one fight deal there. Now he's with DAZN on another fucking one fight deal. Here a one fight deal, there one fight deal, everywhere a fucking one fight deal. Like with Mikey Garcia, Eddie saying he wants to fucking make a fight with Pacquiao. I still think even now Pacquiao probably has the edge on him, especially at 47.
Yes, absolutely, I agree with that.
But I'd watch it. and I think he would cause different types of problems for Manny. With the straight punches especially, and the height, but really you want to see him down at 140. Him and Josh Taylor is a brilliant fight. Him and Ramirez is a brilliant fight. But for whatever reason, he fucking hightailed it out of 135. I don't know. I always favoured him against Lomachenko because I think Lomachenko's fighting above his best weight class himself by fighting at 35. And I always thought Garcia, with his ring IQ, his straight punches, and his size at 35, would have caused Lomachenko all kinds of problems. And that was the fight I wanted to see. That was a dream matchup that never happened. So he hightailed it out of the 35 division, and now he's just kind of out looking for paydays, really, man. It's a bit fucking sad. Like, his career he definitely hasn't, despite winning world titles at different weights, I think it's fair to say his career since he left Arum hasn't been good for anyone. Hasn't been good for him, and it definitely hasn't been good for the fans.
Yeah, as I said before, you want to see fighters get paid, but not to the detriment of the fights themselves. You want to see the big ones. Take Ames suggesting there that Rob said Jason Chukwu in the mirror 3 times, and this is what happened.
I fell asleep.
No signs of Chukwu yet, unfortunately. We will inform you if he appears in the chat box. Gabe, just before we move on to the undercard,
Fell asleep.
The Lomachenko fight, it's obviously Lomachenko against Mikey Garcia.
Is
something we want to see. But how about Mikey Garcia against the likes of Josh Taylor, maybe even Jose Ramirez, Regis Prograis, down at 140? There's plenty of fights out there for him. We just want to see Garcia, Gabe, taking them.
Yeah, I think there's nothing wrong with any of those fights at 140, and I would favor him with who I'll just say Josh Taylor. He'd beat Prograis. I think Prograis is worth a shit. Who else?
Ramirez.
He
beat Ramirez, surely.
Good fight. That would be a really good fight. I just feel like his like Rob mentioned, his IQ is too high for Taylor. Not that Taylor's a bad fighter. I think it could be a close fight, but I really don't think it would play out all that close, to be honest with you. I feel like at 140, I mean, you saw last night, he hit Jesse Vargas, and Vargas was hurt. And if he could do that to a pretty solid guy like Vargas, I think his power at 140 would be right where it needs to be in terms of
I'll tell you what,
being dangerous.
Sorry to interrupt you, Gabe, but just on Josh Taylor, I think Josh Taylor is at the moment an A-level guy. You have to say that about him after winning the Super 6 and all that. And he's got a kind of a shitty mandatory that he has to do now. But if he could beat Mikey Garcia at 140, you'd have to call Josh Taylor elite, like, wouldn't you? Like, really one of the top guys in the sport. If Josh Taylor could pull off a win against Mikey Garcia, his stock would go through the fucking moon, man.
Oh, I think you're right. I absolutely agree with you. Again, I mean, I would consider myself to be not necessarily a super fan of Taylor, but I did think he was going to win the Super 6. I feel like he's done a good job in his career. I mean, he's a really solid fighter. I just feel like probably the experience and probably the size of Garcia and the power of Garcia at that weight would probably be enough, because I think the issue that you see with Garcia at 147 is, like we said, he doesn't have the power to really compete against the upper elite level guys, where at 140 he drops down to 140. He's got it. I think he has plenty there. And you know, he's not one of those guys that has to rely on the power, though. So he can box your fucking ears off, or he can hurt you. And I think at 140, I don't really know I can't think of anyone there at 140 that beats him. I just think it would be probably his best case scenario, to be honest with you. But at 147, any of the top guys at the 147 division, no. I mean, he might make a good fight with, say, Danny Garcia. But that would only be if Garcia was stupid enough to get into a slugging match with him. And then I think Garcia would end up finishing him off anyway. So maybe he could outbox a guy like Garcia, who's kind of a plotter, a little bit slow foot.
Which Garcia would finish off which one? Sorry, Gabe.
Danny. I did. I'm sorry to catch that. Yeah. So Mikey would finish off Danny. Or excuse me. Let me backtrack just a second so I can recollect myself there. I think that Mikey could outbox Danny Garcia. Pardon me.
Yes.
Because Danny's kind of a slow plotter, not quick hands, not the quickest feet. But if he got engaged in kind of a battle with him, I think Garcia could polish him off. Or excuse me, Danny could polish him off. Sorry, fuck, I did it again. I mean, there are certain instances. I think at 147 he could maybe make a fight with a certain guy, depending on the weather that day. But I wouldn't count on it. So yeah, I mean, I believe in the guy at 140. If he was to go back to 140, I don't know that I'd be picking many people over him. I think that's where he needs to be.
Yeah, Andy, I said we'd move on, but just piggybacking off what the guys were talking about there, potential Josh Taylor, Mikey Garcia fight. Do you think that Taylor, given his size and his physical tools, he would be able to replicate to a certain extent the job that Errol Spence did against Garcia? Obviously, I'm not saying he's going to do exactly the same, but he replicate that sort of style and try to put that strategy into place.
I think Josh would beat him down, actually, maybe break him at the body. He's far bigger, as we all say. At featherweight, super featherweight, and probably up to lightweight, I think that's where Garcia would be dominant. Obviously, had the 2-year hiatus and stuff, but Josh is boiling himself down to 140. He's probably more class as a 147 fight. I'm sure he fought 140 as a welterweight, as an amateur as well. I think he would be far, far bigger than Garcia. But at the end of the day, as well, as you've got to kind of respect, especially at mid-distance, the straight shots of Garcia. I just think in close, Taylor probably would make it a far better fight, and would probably kind of work on, if it is again 147, we'll maybe see how solid Garcia is going to be at the body if he does kind of start shipping shots there. So it's an intriguing fight. Like, you could maybe see Garcia maybe kind of swelling the eyes, maybe cutting Josh and that as well. He has got problems with round about the eyes just now. And equally, you'd be interested to see how he works to the body and that as well by Taylor. I think he's got the ingredients of a good fight, but I favour Josh purely on the size. And again, as well, after a 24-hour hydration, I think he'd be far bigger as well. So I wouldn't be against it. There was a possibility of seeing Taylor at this point, maybe even stopping him. Because in the day as well, because Spence never stopped him as well, the Spence no having to kind of boil down in weight a good 20-30 pounds for that fight as well. So I wonder if that maybe affected his performance a wee bit as well as to why didn't he stop him. Because Garcia did absolutely nothing in that Spence fight, absolutely nothing.
Yeah, no, fair point, Andy, apart from getting beaten up. Just moving down to the undercard, Rob. It's becoming a bit of a British graveyard over in America. Calya fight 26-0, defending his WBA title against Roman Gonzalez. Eddie thinking that the Vultures were going to pick away at the Gonzalez dead body. But he rose up like Jon Snow and sliced him down.
Oh, he was brilliant, Chocolatito. Yeah, fine. Like, it's funny because Eddie gave a speech there that he gave verbatim on 3 or 4 different clips there, where he's talking about how he signed the prospect. I can't remember the prospect's name. The hot favorite Mexican kid. He's after signing him.
Castro or something, was he?
Castro, yeah,
Fidel Castro.
To that zone, and he gave the speech like, come to Matchroom, almost like the fucking Suge Knight speech at the Source Awards, come to death row. It's like, come to Matchroom. I will set the career path for you. I will match you. I will get you a world title shot. The only person that's going to stop you from succeeding is you. I want to guide fighters like I did for AJ, for Luke Campbell, for Calya fight. Well, don't know if it's that. I don't know if it's that. I don't know if it's that enticing after looking at Calya fight last night. But look, Chocolatito, what can you say about a guy like 15-month layoff, lost decisively to Rung Visay? All of us thought he was finished, and to go out and just buzz through Calya fight, who's having 6 defenses, 5 defenses now. I know a lot of those are dross defenses, but like, he's just fucking. It was like man against the boy, like, wasn't it? It was just fucking. He just rolled back the hands of time, and the punch to finish it was a beaut as well. Like, so all credit to Chocolatito. Still, there's other guys in that division now that probably still beat him, I think. But that's he's back world champion. He's not won another version of a world champion, and his legacy grows.
Yeah, I can just imagine Eddie sitting all smug at ringside, and after a couple of rounds he's thinking to himself, fucking hell, he's still got something left here. Just shitting himself.
Early fucking doors. He knew early doors that he fucking was in deep, because they've been picking towards this fight now for since 2018, and Gonzalez, I think, he was meant to fight Pedro Guevara late 2018, maybe early 2019, and he got a knee injury. I think it required surgery as well, So, and obviously as well, when he's not been fighting, basically I've seen him has been on YouTube or whatever, and that training in the gym, obviously, and he's got the knee wraps on and that as well. You can think to yourself, fucking hell, this guy's he's got nothing left, Then you can see Yafai, he comes out into the ring and he's like, I'm going to take it to him. I'm going to put it on him, see what the old man's got left. Well, he knew within 3 rounds what that old man's got left, because he came out, tried to put it on Gonzalez, and what happens? Shit, this guy's just, he's too good, he's too quick, he's on the inside, man. Those shots, okay, it wasn't like one punch hit or quitter type stuff, but those accumulation of punches just add up, man. It was glorious to see. And, just going back briefly to the kind of fight of the decade type discussions and that, remember this guy should have really been in, the top 3 of the equation. I know Floyd got it at the end of the day, but again, this guy went something like 27 fights over that 10-year period, including Yafai there, winning 25 of them. 2 of the defeats obviously against Rungvisai. The first fight was very, very close. He had something like 21 knockouts. So, as I say, putting those punches together, just basically chipped away. I think Yafai could have been pulled out as early as I would probably want to say the 7th round.
The first round?
7th round. Well, the first round as well, I suppose. No, the 7th round. I remember him taking 3 right hands off Gonzalez. No reply. And you can see his corner in that as well. He's saying, look, box, jab, and that. But even his jab was lazy, and that's what happened with the final right hand. He went to go and throw the jab. He opened up his guard basically to throw the jab. It was a very sloppy, lazy jab he threw, and Gonzalez just punched right through it and knocked him out. And again, I don't want to be a matter of hindsight, because we never really kind of spoke about it in much detail there last week, but I kind of felt if he had one more big performance in him, I really did fancy Gonzalez, but I didn't really think he would actually schooled him to that point. But thinking back to what Yafai's been fighting over that, how many defences he's had of that title, he's never really kind of been pressed as such. I mean, you think about like Gonzalez and Israel Gonzalez and David Carmona, never really kind of shown that they were willing to kind of like step up and take it to him. I think one of the Mexican boys, I think it was Gonzalez, the one that should have won in Monaco, and I just think he's been tight of the weight as well. Yafai, the belt probably making him kind of semi-relevant. A mate of Eddie's, off Eddie's own volition, he says that. Again, this is cherry picking gone wrong. They felt Gonzalez was there to be taken, and they knew Yafai knew early doors in that fight that this is a different animal. This is still the same guy, or maybe slightly kind of slower on the feet. Defensively, he's always taken a few shots here and there and that, but other than that, he had no answers to Gonzalez there last night, and I thought he won every single round of it, to be honest with you. And the finishing emphatic. But I think he's cemented himself as well as one of the greats, shall we say, the modern greats. The wee guys are never going to get much love, much respect and stuff. And Gonzalez going to get his love and respect kind of later on in his career when he got into HBO. But this guy kind of unify kind of hardcore boxers, hardcore boxing fans. Through the early days, the minimum weight fights and that. As I said, over that 10-year period, fight of the decade, he fought through 4 divisions. Was champion all 4 of them, so much respect to him. Estrada rematch, I think that's a fight I like to see, because Estrada's getting old as well. He's had some injury problems and that, but I think up next for Gonzalez is probably going to be the Australian Andrew Maloney. He's been sitting on the mandatory position now for a wee bit, so I think it's only fair he gets his next fight. But I think either Maloney, Ioka or Estrada next for likes of Gonzalez would be really interesting fights, really good fights, and Cajas will do his own thing, I suppose. But the other name got mentioned today as well was the Japanese kid who's just moved up in weight as well, as Koshi Tanaka. Off that performance there last night, I'd be very willing to put a fair bit of money on Gonzalez stopping Tanaka at this point. Because Tanaka is a fan-friendly fighter, but defensively he can be very open. He can be responsible, but he can also be very open. And I just think with Gonzalez just shown that, again, just good as your last fight, but Gonzalez showed there last night he's got a lot to offer still. Against, and it's a guy who's up off his best weight. I would say flyweight is where he should be, but he struggles to make it these days. So he's fighting bigger guys who are rehydrating bigger than him as well. So that, to me, it was a top win against Yafai. But like I said, Rungvisai, Quadras, I think they would give him big problems at this point because obviously they're just much bigger than him. But it's great to see him back, and definitely cements himself as one of the modern greats of all time.
Be coming back to you shortly, Andy, on that very point you made at the end there. Episode 362 of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. Andy Patterson's with us, Gabe Lewis coming to you shortly, rapping Rob Kelly as well. Delighted to welcome Adam Smido Smith on the call. Brought to you in association, Smido, with Innovation Alloys and South Yorkshire Packaging. How you sounding?
Yeah, shout out to Innovation Alloys and South Yorkshire Packaging. Thanks for the support.
Well done, lovely stuff. Smido, wanted to ask you about Cal Yafai. Obviously, you're a Gonzalez fan. You've gone over and watched him live in action. Regarding Yafai, I was joking there about it being a British graveyard out in America. It seems the plan for these guys is string them along, get them a fight, a defence here and there, string them along. Here comes a big fight. Let's chuck them in. Churn with Hearn.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to really assess this because it's difficult for me because I kind of liked Yafai when he first turned over, but then his reign of terror has been horrendous, pretty much. But he's not one of the. I have to try and split it because he's not one of these like Billy Joe Saunders, for example, who speaks a really good game about he'll fight anyone, he'll do this, he'll do that, he's the main man, blah blah blah. Cal Yafai is not like that. He's not a prominent personality. He's clearly not a ticket seller. So, are we? The last thing we want really in the UK at the moment, and what happens quite a lot, Dillian White may be one of them as well, they do a lot of talking but not a lot of doing. They don't back it up in the ring. Billy Joe Saunders fought some crap, Dillian White's fought some crap, so but Cal Yafai's just been kind of out of sight, out of mind because he's been in America, he's been on the road, he's never really topped a card himself. He's always propping up undercards or Monaco shows or propping up a pay-per-view now and again early in his reign, not so much recently. I wanted Cal Yafai to win last night. Well, I thought I did. But then splitting it out and forgetting that it was a Brit in there and it was Matchroom in there, and there does seem to be on Twitter some sort of, hardcore kudos to try and shit on a Brit, really, when he's been exposed. And that's what's happened. But I try and avoid that. Taking away from that, forgetting Cal Yafai, Roman Gonzalez, I think this must be a really euphoric day, should I say, for Andy. I've just listened to Andy explain it really well. Andy put me personally onto Gonzalez and the lower weights. And as I said the other day, is the best fighter that I've ever set eyes on, that I've ever seen live, without any question at all. So it was just great, really, to see him turn back the clock a little bit. Obviously, he's been out for 2 years since getting obliterated by Rungvisai. That was pretty horrible to see, really, for fans. And I thought he was older than 32. He's been around that long. I thought I would have, if you'd have given me a guess, I wouldn't have said he was 32. But he's turned the clock back brilliant. The way he operates and remains in the pocket, and all the movement at the hip, body movement, head movement, and getting his shots off. Nothing short of sensational. He's absolutely dominated Yafai there last night. And we've got to remember as well that he shouldn't be operating at super flyweight. It's too small to be operating at super flyweight. But as Andy says, he's probably physically struggling to make 112. I'm guessing flyweight is. So, but it was great to see. And going into it, it was a bit of a coin toss with the bookmakers because we didn't really know what Gonzalez had left. Maybe he was about 80%, and he's still got the job done emphatically. As Andy said, I think his feet did look slower, and I actually think. I know Cal Yafai, we all probably think that Cal Yafai adopted the wrong game plan. And I think Yafai landed some really good shots, sporadically. He probably didn't win a round, but I think he landed a flush left hook at the end of the first round. He landed some good body shots throughout.
There was a right hand as well, mate. He stood Gonzalez up a wee bit on the back foot.
That was at the end of the third round, That was next on my list. That was end of the third round. Cal Yafai landed some really good shots last night, and Roman Gonzalez stood up to him. And Cal would probably equal size, not power, but size in terms of Rungvisai and some of the bigger lads at the weight. So, Gonzalez has not only shown that he can do the output, but he's taken some big shots last night and stood up and didn't really look wobbled at any time. I think that when Cal was kind of running out of ideas a little bit, or plan A, as it were, wasn't working on the inside, or meeting fire with fire, that wasn't working for him. He was getting tired, and that's when he was getting picked off. it was a bit of a highlight reel knockout as well for Gonzalez. And like I say, beforehand I thought I wanted Cal to win, not because he was a Brit, but I did kind of like him before he got lost in the wilderness of the WBA. But yeah, maybe I was more satisfied with the Gonzalez win after, because just like I say, he was the introduction really to me to the lower weights. I've remembered watching the Estrada fight with some Mexican or Spanish commentary a number of times, and I don't speak a word of it. It's one of the go-to fights for me, and I've not got many of them to watch. Just excellent seeing him back. I wouldn't want to see him in with Rungbazai again. I think that's a bad idea. As Andy said, Estrada might be on the slide a little bit. I've wanted a rematch. I mean, that was about 6 or 7 years ago, those guys' fight, so that would be awesome to see that rematch. Superb. Andy, he fought as if it wasn't just a one-off, like it wasn't just a last trip to the well, if you like. I think that he can do that again. He lost his trainer, I think, in the lead up to the Rungbazai first fight.
That's a big point. That well said. Yeah.
Obviously that's settled, if you like, or he's got a better training setup now after a tumultuous time. So just awesome to see him back. It was a brilliant performance, regardless of whether he was in there with a Brit or whatever. I mean, if you'd have said there was a Yank or a lad from Thailand or Japan that had 5 or 6 defences of the WBA without really setting the world alight in terms of a name, would still be waxing lyrical about it now. So I have to try and kind of split my analysis out from Gonzalez as an individual and Gonzalez versus Jaffa. I have to split out a bit, but it was fantastic. It was awesome to see. I really, really did enjoy it.
Gabe, quick word from you. I know I have to break you away from reading the book by Dr. Joseph Ajayo, THD, PhD. He's not joining us this week, everybody. It's going to be next week. We can get the doctor on. Tell me about Yafai against Gonzalez. Is Yafai just one of those British bums as far as you're concerned, or has Gonzalez indeed, Gabe, turned back the hands of time?
Well, I think it was a tremendous performance by Chocolatito. I think what you saw there was what people were getting a taste of whenever HBO was having him on before the couple losses. And it was a tremendous performance. I mean, throwing in volume, throwing quick. I mean, there's not a lot of guys that I have seen that throw combinations the way he does. Juan Marquez was a great combination thrower. This guy, Roman Gonzalez, can throw the most beautiful combinations. It can be just a basic, maybe jab, straight, hook, 3-punch combo. But he may mix it up and throw a couple of hooks and an uppercut, a jab and an uppercut. I mean, just so many ways that he'll find to pick you apart. I mean, it was really a tremendous performance by him. I think Yafai went in with a complete wrong plan. Had he done something different, I don't know that it would have worked. Maybe if he would have been able to use the size and maybe height advantage a little bit differently, perhaps he may have been able to maybe pick Roman Gonzalez coming in and maybe stun him. I'm not sure that he would have or not. But I could see that probably being what I would have tried to do rather than going in guns blazing, because he just got outfired last night. It was a tremendous performance.
Sorry, Gabe, you caught me on the hop there. You finished?
No, that's okay. I had to get a drink real quick. I think the other aspect of the question, you know, what you're asking, how good is Yafai? Where does he stand? You know, I don't know that I'm going to answer that question. I don't think I have a fair enough review of all the work that he's done. I've only seen bits and pieces of him. Nothing to get excited about by my likes. I mean, I don't think he's a bum. I don't think that's the reality. I don't know that he's probably what, you know, we consider world class. When we talk about world class, the top fighters, the top 2, maybe 3 of each weight class. And you know, there's always going to be more than that with all the fucking belts that are thrown around now that will be world champions. So whenever I say world class, I'm not talking about world champions. I'm talking about the top 2 or 3 guys that are pretty unanimous in each weight category, and he's not among those guys by any stretch of the imagination, if you're asking me. But maybe someone else has a little bit more, maybe seen a little bit more of him that can give a better opinion than I'm offering there. But I don't see it.
Andy, I wanted to compare with you Gonzalez's reign against another great light flyweight minimum weight fighter, Ricardo Finito Lopez, who retired in 2001 with a 51-0-1 record, 38 knockouts. Obviously, Lopez is known as one of the great lower weight fighters, him against Gonzalez. But before I do, Andy, I'm sure you'll indulge me here. Whenever I typed in Ricardo Lopez into Google, I got brought up here Ricardo Lopez brackets stalker and a Wikipedia page, and this is quite interesting. I thought I'd read this out. I've never heard of this guy before, but this is Ricardo Lopez, also known as the Bjork Stalker. He was a Uruguayan-American pest control worker who attempted to kill the Icelandic musician Bjork in September 1996. Ricardo Lopez developed an obsession with Bjork in 1993 and became angry over her relationship with the musician Goldie. He then sent a letter bomb to Bjork in the post and tried to kill her. He got caught and he shot himself on September the 12th, 1996 in Hollywood, aged 21, death by suicide. So what about that first story, the stalker, Ricardo Lopez? Any knowledge of this guy?
I've no knowledge of that guy, mate, no, but it sounds like he could be belonging in WBA champion or serial killer.
That's exactly what I was thinking. He was also interim WBA champion as well at flyweight.
Jesus Christ.
51-0.
I thought that was a great little story, just came up there, so I thought I'd share it with you. But anyway, back to the point, yeah. I saw people on BoxRec talking about this earlier. Gonzalez's reigns compared to Lopez. Lopez is sort of... I know Ivan Calderon gets mentioned as well, but Lopez is the standard bearer of the lower weights. He got pushed onto the American psyche as well. I know you had Carbajal and Danny Lopez and all those type of guys, but it was Ricardo Lopez Finito. He was the standard bearer, wasn't he?
He was. I mean, he was a very talented fighter. I suppose you could always say that he achieved what many boxers strive to have, and that's an undefeated record. He's got one blemish, and that's a draw, I suppose. But he was a fantastic boxer puncher, good warrior, good bang, multi-weight champion. I think he had minimum weight, light flyweight. I don't know if he went up to flyweight. I don't think he went to flyweight actually, but again, it's just like everything else. It's just like everything else with these welterweight, lighter weight champions and stuff. As the names, the opponents don't really kind of resonate with other fans, so to speak. But I suppose fighting guys like Rezondo Alvarez and the Thai fighters like Samyang, Sor, Tarong, those were kind of good fighters, and Will Grigsby as well. But again, as I say, they're not really kind of household names to like say the kind of maybe some hardcore fans, but these guys were always in and round about title levels, stuff like that. And this is one thing we always say about the lighter weights and stuff, especially fighters from Mexico, Japan, Thailand, the Far Eastern countries and stuff like that, as well as they are bitching and loaded with talent, and anybody from the top 5 to the top 35 could be getting a world title fight, and even upset the odds. That's how kind of you get guys jumping for like some minimal weight to like flyweight for opportunity fights, for example. I mean, there's a guy Jay Harris there last night who he fought Ross Murray for Scotland. Now Ross is a legit light flyweight, but he got the opportunity to fight Jay at flyweight. It was a title fight for the Commonwealth, so you take the opportunities and stuff. So that's what I'm saying. So you think about, like, say, there's only like 3-4 pounds between these divisions, but as a result of that, you've got 3 stacked divisions there who can actually differentiate, move up and down in weight and stuff. But as for like say Lopez and stuff, absolute fantastic fighter. And one fighter that most of these fights are on YouTube. If you've not seen him, get round to watch him, because he was definitely kind of one of the greats and one of the standard bearers, as you say, for the lighter weight guys coming through.
Certainly was. Smido, did you catch anything of Jay Harris's performance? I was hoping Ozzy would be on tonight to talk about it, actually, because I know he knows Harris. We've had him on in the past. He's beaten Paddy Barnes. He went in against this Martinez, who was the guy, if I'm remembering correctly, who hit Charlie Edwards, didn't he, when he was on the deck? But he's quite the beast, this Martinez. Doesn't throw too many jabs, but he can clearly punch. Harris, though, he hung in there, took his lumps really well, and I think that Harris put up a really good fight, and if he could dedicate himself full time, I think he works in a warehouse or whatever, he could definitely make something of himself, this Jay Harris.
Steve, I'm going to disappoint your excellent introduction there. No, didn't see it, but I've heard it was rather entertaining. Was he down early, apparently, Harris?
He was down, yeah, he went down.
Yeah, so no, that is one that I would plan to catch up on. Have you already covered the main event, Steve? I'll comment on that quickly.
No, you comment on the main event. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt the schedule there. Mikey Garcia shouldn't be operating it that way. I know every man in the world has said that who's watching it, but the man he's got the initial onset of man boobs, like in the ring. Come on, that's not good enough. And Vargas has got the longest neck in boxing, I think. It just got a bit boring, didn't it? Garcia, like Vargas was throwing that left hook, Garcia was countering it. I think he went down in the fifth, reasonably heavy, but yeah, Vargas has just toughed it out and gone the distance. But I'm just not interested. Garcia, he was a whirlwind through 2 or 3 different weights in and around lightweight. Had a 2-year hiatus because he fell out with Bob or whoever he fell out with, and he's come back and done nothing against Spence, and he's still operating at welterweight and he's chasing Pacquiao. He's not doing the things that make me want to be interested or support him from afar. It was just a little bit disappointing, really. And then Fastcar's coming on this morning saying it was a great fight. I mean, I think that was a bit strong.
I've got a lot of hate for Fastcar. You need to cut him some slack, Adam. I remember you used to come on and you were his biggest fan, and now he's making these videos, and I'm sure you're still hitting the thumbs up and going on the troll accounts and giving Fastcar a bit of a grief, but he's doing his best, you know. You got to cut him some slack.
Hey, Steve, that was a good show last night, pal. Genuinely, I think that was quite a good show. There was that Jay Harris is a world title fight, obviously Yafai world title fight, and then Mikey Garcia is a big name. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm finding it difficult to describe my relationship with Eddie Hearn at the minute because he's obviously, we are all entertained by him. He is good he is decent enough at his job, obviously. He knows he's a car salesman.
Speak for yourself.
And I quite like his trolling. Because he knows that he's winding the hardcores up from time to time. But a lot of the stuff he does is cuntish behaviour, to be honest. As far as even this weekend putting the Mexican flag on the poster behind Roman Gonzalez, etc.
Yeah, how did Madrimov look last night? I've not seen that fight yet.
I haven't seen it, Andy. No, I don't know. He knocked him out in the
supposed to look
6th,
good.
I think.
I've seen that as well, Rob. I've seen people say he's good in that, but they did say that he maybe needs to hold him back a bit to work on a few things. So I don't know if he's been opened up a little bit there.
He's fast tracking him, isn't he? He needs dates, he needs stars, they need turnarounds on all these stars that he's potentially building in the States. But yeah, just to go on to what Hearn's behaviour, as Smitho alluded to, the cheapness of it all this week. All right, I'll acknowledge that Smitho, he can be entertaining at times just from a pure pantomime villain kind of way with the shit he says, but none more evident than this week, when the Matchroom PR staff were in absolute overdrive in the aftermath of a fight that had fuck all to do with them. The biggest heavyweight fight of its era, Wilder versus Fury. The boys are sitting on the sideline ready to go Monday. Eddie, first of all, with his hour-long YouTube Sky Sports interview saying the fight will happen. We just got to get rid of this Pulev one, by the way. Did I mention AJ's fighting Pulev? But, this fight's going to happen. Fuck off. And then this week you had
this year. It must happen this year as well. It's going to happen this year.
Oh yeah, it's going to happen this year, and all because Dillian White's waiting on a shot, and so Dillian White's out with an IFL interview. Spencer Oliver's on Talk Sports saying that Deontay Wilder was the worst heavyweight champion technically of all time. Tony Bellew's on Soccer AM saying that AJ's style is too much for Fury. Just leave him alone, please, will you? He has fucking penalty shootout to take with fucking whoever that fucker is on Soccer AM. Can't think of his name now, the player. What's his name? Top Bins. Him and Bellew. Oh, everyone's out in AJ. If I fucking complete another week long. Oh yeah, AJ's on Saturday night takeaway as well with Ant and Deck. Let's not leave them out of the equation. So the whole week becomes a big fanfare for a fucking potential AJ Fury fight that everyone knows is not happening next because there's a rematch, and the small matter of a Bulgarian with a lot of sexual aggression, Kubrat Pulev, that's already fucking done. So just cheap shit that he does, that's why people fucking rally against him, because he does cheap shit like that. He's not building his own fighter there. He's trying to piggyback the wave of the one and true heavyweight Gypsy King Tyson Fury.
See, the thing is, he's fucking, as you say, mate, he is jumping on the bandwagon a bit there, but he's grown about
just a bit, yeah.
just a bit. I mean, fucking, that was the greatest thing that happened to Joshua. He hasn't had to open his mouth. The next minute he's getting all this fucking publicity and stuff.
Publicity because of him, Barnett. And let me tell you as well, fucking when when Vladimir lost this fight, his world title, he did a video, didn't he? Deontay Wilder lost his world title. It took him a week, but he came out and he did a video. Joshua lost his world title. He came out big legs, flexing in his small shorts, doing his video. And where was all the videos this week? It was all IFL. What did Tyson Fury say 4 years ago? What did Tyson Fury say 3 years ago? Sky are back. What did Tyson Fury tell Anthony Joshua 3 years ago? They're all recycling interviews. You know why? Because you can't get the Gypsy King, because he strolled back into the airport and was like, fuck you, he didn't want me. When I beat Vladimir, there was fucking 4 people here. Now you want me because I knocked the fuck out of Wilder. Everyone's here. He was pissed off and he hasn't done his interviews, and I admire that in him, because as much of a critic as I was of him for fucking WWE, he's obviously that talented. He doesn't fucking give a fuck. He can write books, do songs with Robbie Williams, Dancing with the fucking Stars. He could probably do and beat AJ. So big credit to him for just taking his win and fucking off back out of the limelight for a while and getting back to it.
Just finally on Hearn, by the way, can we just say something? He said we've started talks about a potential Fury Joshua fight, right? We've opened talks with Bob Arm and Top Rank.
Yeah.
Two days later, Pulev officially announced at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I'm like, fucking, they were quick talks, wasn't it? Bob Arm's obviously just kibosh that shit.
Yeah, and you know they were in complete panic mode when you see Frank Smith out again. What do we need to keep seeing him for? Just saying the same thing that Eddie's saying. Like he's out every afternoon this week giving his opinion on how the fucking Tyson Fury and AJ fight is going to get made. You shut the fuck up, man. Will you? Nobody cares about you. When did people start waving a camera in front of this fella? Like an absolute bore. Get him off. Like
the worst thing about it for me was Dillian White, man. That's the worst. I mean, so because Tyson Fury's knocked out Wilder and exposed him and dominated him, that means that by proxy, Dillian White, we should feel sorry for Dillian White because he didn't get his chance, and he would have done that to him as well. It's what a load of shit. Dillian White can piss off. He's gone life and death with Parker. He's gone life and death with Chisora. He's stunk the place out against Wack. He's failed a drugs test and maybe another drugs test. He's refused final eliminators. He's refused to fight AJ for big money in New York last year, etc., etc. The list goes on, and I still maintain that Adam Smith, throws a better right hand than Dillian White, and he can fuck off.
I know. I tell you what, right? I do like Dillian White. I said it loads of times. I love that he came from fucking no amateur background. He was able to get himself Sky pay-per-view. Some kind of credit has to be given to a fighter to get himself for that position. But like coming out and saying, "Oh, I told everybody that the game plan was to bully Deontay Wilder." Do you think that Tyson Fury was the first person that decided that the game plan to beat fucking Wilder was to come to him? No, loads of other people thought that too, but when they came to him, they got fucking knocked out. Like, it's not that easy. Do you know what I mean? So, every heavyweight now was just going to bully Deontay Wilder. Well, I don't see it like with any of the rest of them, to be honest with you. And I think Wilder fucking banjo AJ as well. But that's just me.
Rob, speaking of Smiths, which Smith would you rather go out for a pint with? Frank Smith, Smigger Smith, Smido Smith, or Bean Smith?
No, it's got to be Smido, like there, isn't it? That would have been a stitch up, Smido. Fucking hell, man.
There you go, Rob spoken. Andy, just back to this undercard very briefly. We mentioned Madrimov there. Joseph Parker getting a 5-round win over Shaundell Winters. Nobody gives a shit about that. Martinez Harris. Anything that caught your eye before we move on?
Yeah, Harris impressed me with his guts and stuff. He did kind of try and work himself into the fight. If he had a wee bit more pop, I might have got Martinez's respect, who, by the way, does that guy even know how to throw a fucking jab at Julio Cesar Martinez? Because
No.
he's very square, walks into position, either tries to kind of like walk in, throw shots, or tries to feint you, then walk in and throw shots. Either that, he doesn't set nothing up. He just relies purely on his brute strength, chin as well. I mean, he did take a few shots there last night. But Jay Harris, I suppose, I think, looking back on that fight, I think he might be kicking himself. If he had started a little bit more kind of cuter the first 3 or 4 rounds, I thought he was taking a wee bit of shellacking in those early rounds. If he had maybe kind of kept it a wee bit closer, he might have got it kind of closer on the cards and that as well, who knows. But certainly he wasn't disgraced, and he can definitely come again, absolutely, without doubt. Again, as I say, his flyweight is stacked, man. I mean, he'll get another opportunity, no problem. I think the one thing he'll need to do really is maybe just step down the level below Martinez and kind of work on them, because obviously he's fought Paddy Barnes and Angel Moreno, and as I say, Ross Murray was a kind of more legit like flyweight. So I think he needs a wee bit more seasoning, especially at that weight. As I say, if you look at Gonzalez, he's kind of like say how he did it. Roman Gonzalez, the opponents he fought, I think that's the kind of like way he should be kind of doing. So fighting like say a kind of Francisco Rodriguez, for example, guys who've been over the course, ex-world champions, ex-title challengers, and if a potential rematch does happen, I think he'd be kind of more ready for it. But as I say, I think he got caught a wee bit cold, I thought, kind of the early half of that fight, and kind of worked himself into it and showed balls as well. So, but definitely one, nothing to be disgraced, and definitely they can definitely come again without doubt. And Joseph Parker, by the way, can I just say something? That was,
of course,
a decent stoppage, but it was. Let's get real, man. I mean, he's been in the ring for a wee bit, but that guy's
waste of time.
Cruiserweight. Fucking pointless fight. Madrimov, anybody got a link for that, hit me up with it, because I didn't get a chance to see it, but I'd like to see one of my Uzbek brothers, who I think will go all the way. Quite a few others in that as well, who I also think this year's Olympics, if it goes ahead, I think keep an eye out on the Uzbeks as well. I think they might dominate.
Well, Madrimov's okay, isn't he, Andy? Again, and he's also like Kanat Islam. They're okay against these lower level guys that can throw a lot of shots, get hit, and it doesn't matter. But when they fight someone with a bit of a punch, someone with a bit of nuance to their game, then we'll see what they're really made of.
Well, that's what we really need to see, because obviously these Uzbeks that have just kind of started turning over, especially, well, obviously, it's been a conveyor belt on the amateur scene, but quite a few of them have started turning pro. So, obviously at this point, they're still kind of building into a kind of pro career, but as you say, at some point they're going to think they stepped up. That was only Madrimov's, was it 5th fight last night, I think.
Yep.
So again, seasoning's required, obviously, but as it says, the guys like say Rakimov and all the guys who I think had that kind of dodgy fight out in South Africa with the drugs and stuff like that. So again, guys need seasoning. Madrimov, as I said, I did read comments that last night saying that he maybe needs held back a little bit, because at 154, again, we've complained that it's wide open to a point. Obviously these champions are fighting each other and that, but Madrimov was a top amateur back in his time, but at the same time, I think he still needs a wee bit of seasoning. 25 as well. I think try to think who he could fight at this point, actually, just kind of as a kind of warm-up fight, because if he's getting pushed into title contention at this point, I didn't fancy his chances against the likes of Rosario. Do you? Like say the guy who fought Williams.
Not
I
at the
didn't
moment.
fancy him fighting. No. Jack Kulkai, he fights your man Rob Hassan Wakinyo. So keep a wee eye out on that one. But I'm trying to think.
Who next?
What about Kell Brook? 154.
I fell asleep.
He's an Eddie Hearn fighter at the end of the day, Madrimov, so I think he'll anyway. So if Brooks fancying a fight, so to speak, but I think he'll hang on for like Liam Smith's fight, or no, it's no, who's he fighting? He is fighting Brook next, isn't he?
Apparently,
I think about title start. I think about title starts this year. Teixeira and Castaño, that's the WBO route. Yeah, so as you say, mate, Uzbeks definitely on the up and up, but definitely need more seasoning.
Yeah, Swaggy Taggy in the chat saying apparently that card was $40 pay-per-view in New Zealand last night due to the appearance of Joseph Parker.
Joe's getting that bread, man. Parker is getting that bread.
40.
I heard he's done a deal over in New Zealand to like appear at the opening of some franchise or some major chain like Burger King or one of these joints. Like that's after fucking setting him up for life. Like, now I heard that. I don't know if that's true, but I did hear that from someone involved in them. So that's fucking mental that he has that drawing power. Good on him, because he's not the best like Joe Parker, is he? Like he's all right, like and everything, but he comes to fight and he's always trying to win, even when he's getting beaten in a fight. But
Rob,
he's not much like.
I remember in his early half of his career, did he hold a title that was actually sponsored by a Burger King? I'm fucking sure of it.
Yeah, maybe so. So that's what it is then. He's fucking set up with this deal anyway, apparently. And he got a couple of, like he had his pay-per-view fight with AJ. Then was the Dillian White one pay-per-view.
Yes,
Yep.
it was.
Yeah, so he's after getting serious money, man. And then another pay-per-view then last night then in New Zealand back. He's, good on him, like, for making that kind of money. Seems like a decent guy, like, but he's not great, man.
Yeah, I think he's made a lot of money, and after the AJ fight, he made that much that he was considering his future in the sport. I suppose you would consider getting punched in the head consistently when you've earned like $4 or $5 million, just from one fight or whatever it was he earned. You would consider that. So he's back anyway with a vengeance.
I'd be out.
I would too.
I would be. I'd be like
I
Nazim.
know.
I'd be like Nazim Hammer, man, after about 4 months. And Ricky Hatton put together.
Charles Martin.
Exactly.
Andy
Andy Ruiz.
Just before we move on to the questions.
Last week, he was sitting. You see him sitting down there last week, but he was sweating
Terrible.
sitting down, for fuck's sake.
Terrible.
Oh, he's a joker, him, isn't he?
His next fight, I actually got told in the QT who his next fight is going to be. Sugar diabetes.
Well, can I tell you, Fury last week, what did he come in? 273.
Yeah.
He came in
90 something.
289 against AJ, and he fucking 6'2". Oh my god, man.
Okay, yes, before we tidy up some questions, let's get to the rest of the action from the weekend. Just mentioning this card from New York. Cletus Seldin, the Hebrew Hammer, getting a knockout win in the 7th round over Luis Flores. Carlos Takam as well, getting himself back in the heavyweight picture by unanimously decision defeating over 10 rounds Fabio Maldonado. Wendy Toussaint moves to 11-0 with a win over Jermaine Corley. He's a fellow Wendy. You need to be able to punch if you're called Wendy, I suppose. And also a debut for Prince Slaughter down at super lightweight. There's a name for you in boxing if ever there was one. Prince Slaughter. Don't mess with him. I know, Sergeant Slaughter. Also waiting for news of the big heavyweight fight from the weekend. Laura Ramsey against Gwendolyn O'Neill. I tweeted out this over the week. Somebody brought it to my attention. Laura Ramsey, 10-7-1, rematching O'Neill, 19-7-2. They're both 50 years of age, and this is the big rematch everybody wanted to see. Ramsey's only 5'5", so these two 50-year-olds, including a 5'5" woman, going in against each other over 6 rounds. God knows who's sanctioning this, actually. St. Petersburg, Florida State Boxing Commission last night. If anybody knows anything about that, let me know. Let's move on, Gabe, to you. Question coming in from Swaggy Taggy. He said, was Tyson Fury's performance, Gabe, the best, most one-sided performance by an underdog in a heavyweight championship fight since Ali versus Foreman in 1974?
Damn, you should have asked me and gave me a little bit of time to think on that one.
Andy doesn't let me do that. He said no. Do you remember
What's
Andy
that?
years ago?
Yeah.
Don't let them think!
No,
Years ago when I
mate,
said about telling them the questions in advance, you said, I like to see people sweat.
Yeah, because I'm the same, mate. Because at the end of the day, is this, people come on and give you shit. Oh, you should have said this. This is more factual. At the end of the day, we get asked questions on the hot, on the spot, and then you got to do your best to answer it. If you don't know, then fuck it, pass.
Well said. Go on, Gabe. No pressure.
You're right. I guess that is a fair. I think I'm having a hard time coming up with maybe. I don't remember what Sanders Klitschko was like. Was Sanders a huge underdog then?
Yes, that's a good
I suppose
one,
he would
Gabe,
have been, aye.
Yeah, absolutely. He was a puncher, but yeah, he wasn't expected to win. See? Good job, Gabe.
Yeah, I would think there's probably very few that I could come up with that I would say a better performance by an underdog at the books, and according to general opinion. I felt, I made my pick, and I think a lot of people realized that it could have gone a certain way with Fury winning. So I think that in the minds of a lot of people, maybe it wouldn't be one of the bigger upsets in that particular regard. But I failed to see one where a guy was picked against as widely in the boxing media. And of course, I don't think it's easy to look back on fan thoughts as it is now. In 20 years that they may look back at what we've been saying and what other people have been saying because it's easy, because it's there. I feel like the whole idea of the underdog is taking on a little bit different role because of all the media and all the mediums that people can talk boxing and have opinions and have thoughts about it. But as far as the general public that we know of and the media and boxing insiders maybe knowing, I feel like it's probably right up there. I felt like the Sanders fight with Klitschko, Corey Sanders, South Africa, correct?
Yep. He's dead now.
Yeah. If you, you can look back at that one and it's tremendous to watch now, but I think it's got a little bit different flavor because of the way Klitschko gets viewed in retrospect. At this point in time, people look back on his career and maybe see it a little bit differently than they did. But I think that would have been one. And surely Ali versus Foreman. Cheese whiz. I was a kid whenever I saw that on, I guess, ESPN Classic. And, I was talking to my old man about it. And that was a big one. I mean, that was a huge one. He was a kid and he had seen, well, not a kid, I should say. He was a younger guy, though. And he had seen Ali, by multiple occasions. And, like a lot of people that grew up and saw him fight, he meant a tremendous deal to those people. But, he was telling me that wasn't really supposed to happen when that happened. I don't know. And it was actually pretty one-sided. So that was a good shout. But Sanders was pretty much in control of that one from what I recall. Haven't watched that one in quite some time. But Fury was, that was about as one-sided as it gets as well. So good shout on that one.
Yeah, Tony Bellew throwing in Ruiz AJ. Swaggy Taggy says, well, Ruiz was still down before, though. I remember Klitschko had already lost to Ross Purity. He'd completely blown himself out, hadn't he? Battering the hell out of Purity and run out of gas. Sanders wasn't expected to beat him, but he was a hard-hitting southpaw. Top of my head here, WBO heavyweight title in Germany, knocked him out, upset the odds, and Vitali, I think, put a beating on Sanders for him, although he had a few hairy moments as well in that one. Might have been in America, the Vitali-Sanders fight. Anyway, good fighter, Sanders. I believe he got shot during a restaurant raid in South Africa about 10 years ago, so yeah, it was a good fighter. R.I.P. as Jason Chukwu would say. He's in the chat now. Welcome to you, Mr. Chukwu. Smido, question for you coming in from Ryan Deal. He says, this might be a future Bellew of the Week candidate, but I reckon Regis Prograis versus Maurice Hooker has the potential to be Fight of the Year material if Hooker isn't too shook up from the Ramirez beating. Both throw big shots at mid-range with decent defence, yet neither have a back foot game. What does the pod reckon? Especially you, Adam Smido-Smith.
I'm glad that this fight's got people talking. Prograis, they did such an excellent job with him, when he fought Taylor, and he's come out of that with so much credit. Hooker's that really lanky kid, innit?
Yep.
If the styles don't clash in terms of the height, because there is always the danger when you've got a freakishly tall fighter. But I know it's buying into the fast car narrative, but it is fair play to him. There's no titles on the line, but it is a really big fight nonetheless within the division. Both have had recent-ish losses. I really like it. A great fight. And Prograis, he's turned me into a fan. I didn't know much about him before the Taylor fight. I thought the Taylor fight was excellent. And as a result, I'm going to be following Prograis. And that's the name of the game, really, because, you can go in, you can put your undefeated, you can put your O on the line, you can lose and still come out with credit rather than fighting, nobody's a la Cal Yafai, really. Fair play, good fight.
Well said, Smido. Swaggy Taggy's thrown in a question for Rob or Andy. We'll go to Rob first of all on this one. At the time of writing, there has been no news on a new trainer for Josh Taylor. Obviously, we believe he's gone to Ben Davison now. In my opinion, says Swaggy, from looking at Taylor, he looks like an ideal candidate for the latest addition to the Kronk gym. Long levers, tall for the weight, can crack, southpaw, good speed, good footwork. Am I just being the ultimate fanboy, or would Andy Lee be as good a fit as Josh's new trainer as any? Come on, Rob and Andy, let's make some calls, make the link up happen. Don't make the calls too quickly, Rob. I think he's hooked up with Davison, but that was a good shout from Swaggy in the meantime.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that pans out with Davison. Josh Taylor said that he wasn't married to the style that McGuigan had, that it was kind of side on with the shoulder. He didn't feel comfortable doing it, and he wasn't happy, and he needed a change. And look, you can kind of knock that if you want. Look what he achieved with that style. I would say, if I was McGuigan, I'm sure that's what he's going to come out and say. Well, look, we won the fucking Super 6, the Robinson Trophy or whatever, and the fucking unified the title, and beat top level guys like Baranchek, Regis Prograis, fucking smashed O'Hara Davis to bits, Victor Paul style. So he's got some great wins using that style. If he feels he can improve using a different style, then you might see a scary proposition altogether, because I already think Taylor's the goods as a fighter. So if he has anything else in his locker that he wants to put on show, I'd be there to watch it. But I don't know about Ben Davison. I mean, look at it. It'd be hard to judge still because, like I just said, look at Josh Taylor's resume before Davison's got him. Look at Tyson Fury's resume before Davison got him. Billy Joe before Davison worked with him. They're all established fighters, so I'd like to see him, bring a fighter from scratch. And really, I think he's a good coach. He probably is too defensive minded for Tyson Fury, especially in light of what we saw last week. But just on Andy Lee, I think he's going to be in demand now. And I mean, look, talking with Andy Lee about boxing is always a joy. Like, it's just his way of reading fights is excellent. Even though I didn't think he read the John Ryder, Callum Smith one too well, which I said at the time. But everyone could have a bad night or whatever. But his inside knowledge and from his time with Manny and Sugar Hill and Booth as well. Go to Adam Booth. He's learned a lot, so I think he will be in demand as well down the line.
Andy, Mark Boxio wants to hear your opinions on this as well. Josh Taylor going to Davison. I think he also expected a Kronk link-up, but it is indeed Davison for Taylor.
I think it would be a good link-up actually if they went to Andy Lee, because obviously, the sheer two common traits, at least, they're quite tall at their respective weights, and the southpaws, I think Andy might be able to kind of work with him, and he is, for what I've been hearing on podcasts, interviews and stuff, he's been very highly regarded, highly thought of. At the end of the day as well, to relocate to America, Detroit, live with likes of Sugar Hill and Manny Stewart, you can't do nothing but learn, in that type of environment. So I think it'd be a really good move, because at this point, I really don't know what type of trainer Ben Davison is. I mean, at the end of the day, this is a guy who ended up training Tyson Fury off the back end to go and get a chick's fucking phone number. So I don't know if it's about a banter and stuff, but I think at this point, even as Fury's 30 now, 31, he doesn't need a trainer. He just needs a wee bit of guidance. There's even talk about Fury leaving Sugar Hill as well. I think there was some talk about that during the week as well. But I think at this point, Taylor's been through the GB squad, which is hard to get onto. He's learned off Shane. He's almost 30-year-old. I don't think he's going to learn much more. He is what he is at this point. Maybe a few fine tunings or holding the pads here and there. But to me, Ben Davison, part of Fury, he trained Billy Joe for a wee bit as well, and he's got the Moroccan kid who's with Gary Hyde. Fuck's his name? I forget off the top of my head. Abbey Atsu is I.
Mohammed Rabi, yeah.
Mohammed Rabi. I don't know what type of trainer he really is, to be honest with me. He seems to talk a good game, but at the end of the day, a trainer earns his bragging rights in the corner, in the gym, working with champions, creating champions and stuff. And I've still to see it with Ben Davis, so I don't know how it's going to fit out. But I think at the end of the day, Taylor's done enough in his career. I think he could maybe just a few pointers here and there, but I think he can practically do it himself, actually, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Joseph Wolfston, who was thrown in the question about Ben Davison as well. We'll just slide on to... I'm not going to talk about this card. Ozzy would have given us the lowdown, obviously, but he's not with us tonight. MTK card, Saturday the 7th of March. Alfredo Melli stepping up against Danny Dignam, who was last seen beating up Conrad Cummings. A few prospects on the undercard. Sam Gilly, Shaquille Day. Domestic level stuff, but MTK still putting out the fight cards. Moving on, Rob, to you from Richard Lodder. In the light of the recent shake-up in the Ring magazine heavyweight rankings, resulting in Dillian White being placed higher than Deontay Wilder, where do you, Rob, think Big John Fury would fit if he was let loose on this division?
Top five.
He was a former pro. 8-4, I think he was as a pro, wasn't he?
I don't know what he was, but I wouldn't fancy it with him now, even. I don't think. And you got to give him massive credit, man. He called it exactly. He was going to bet David Hay $100,000 that the fight was going to go exactly the way it was. He said Tyson Fury was going to back him up, break him down, and make him quit. Now, he didn't make him quit, but they had to throw the towel in correctly to save him. So fucking credit to John Fury, man. He absolutely nailed it on that. Now, I thought he talked a little bit too much. He actually talked more than me towards the back end of the pod on a Sunday night. He was interrupting everybody. He was on the Paulie Malignaggi couldn't even get a fucking word in. That's telling you everything. But just brilliant for the big man, isn't it? Yeah, top man.
Paulie actually, what I got told in the QT that Paulie actually valued his eyesight, so he didn't want to kind of interrupt.
But I tell you what, right? Whatever about even Fury detractors, like, they're out in force this week. Go and fuck yourselves. Like, how can you not love a guy 6'9" in a red cape and a fucking crown getting carried to the ring to fucking Patsy Cline's crazy. He's a fucking, and then go out and bulldoze fucking Deontay Wilder. What a fucking guy, like. Unbelievable.
This might be a time to mention Mr. Skinny, the guy who in the car smoked the blunts.
Oh, yeah.
What a riot he was, baby.
He was brilliant, yeah.
News breaks through that Deontay Wilder is going to invoke his rematch clause. So, gentlemen and ladies, this means one thing. Deontay Wilder is suicidal.
Yeah. He's like, what are you fucking with a gypsy for, Deontay? You don't need that.
You can see the future, dummy.
Yeah, they can see the future, dummy. Wilder believes that shit too, man. He's all back. We'll get to him, I'm sure.
Gypsy's cursing all that shit, you know.
Oh.
Yeah, Terry Woodfine's nominated that for Belly of the Week, which we will be getting to at the end of the show. Gabe, question coming in for you from friend of the pod, all-round good guy, Ted Barrett. He said, what is the worst judging performance, Gabe? Adelaide Bird in the Triple G Canelo fight, or CJ Ross scoring the draw between Mayweather and Canelo?
Wait, say that again. Adelaide scoring the fight for Canelo,
what judging performance was worse, Adelaide in the Triple G fight, or CJ Ross in the Mayweather-Canelo fight?
Oh, gotta be the Mayweather-Canelo fight. That was awful. I mean, that was really, really bad.
Yeah, that was a schooling to have that drama. I mean, she never worked again after that fight. I don't think she even judged the fight after that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I can't even think of anything else to say besides that was maybe the worst. One of the worst ones I've ever seen. Got to be right up there with old Dave Tiberi losing to James Toney. I think that was whenever James was at
middleweight.
160. Yeah, I was about to say I couldn't remember because he started at one. Did he start at 154?
No, he was 160.
Okay, for some reason I was thinking he had a couple in there at 150 when he first started. Yeah, but anyway, that was fucking still one of the worst ones that I can think of. I mean, maybe my mind's a little bit over exaggerating that one. I still think that one reigns supreme for me. But yeah, out of those two, definitely the Canelo card. I mean, that was an absolute just boxing clinic. And that score, Jesus.
There you go, Gabe has spoken. Andy, question for you from Belfast Red 3120. Nathan Shaw throws in the odd question here or there. Maybe a discussion for the podcast. Can you recall any other notable amateur matchups, Andy, between two successful pros? Any idea what weight Porter versus Usyk fight took place at? It's crazy to even think about. I believe Usyk fought Porter as an amateur
middleweight.
Down at welterweight. I was going to say welterweight, but they're very low down anyway.
Yeah, this is one of these ones where Gabe were kind of like wanting respite to go and research the question, but off the top of my head, I think you're right, either a welterweight or light middleweight. I think that fight took place at maybe even middleweight, actually.
And some of the amateur guys, I was thinking, I've seen footage of Triple G knocking out Lucien Butte.
That was a good knockout,
yeah.
aye. That was in Olympics, I think, that one. Obviously, Groves de Gale.
Yeah.
So other top amateurs who fought as Olympians.
Top pros who fought as amateurs. Kovalev lost to Beterbiev, and then Usyk beat Beterbiev twice, didn't he, in the amateurs, I think. Joe McClellan as well, beating Roy Jones.
I'm sure even Beterbiev's got a win over Usyk in the amateurs, to be honest with you, mate. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. Maybe even Lomachenko's probably fought a few guys. He's maybe fought as a pro. I know he fought Verdejo.
Yeah, that's right.
Felix
Oscar
Verdejo,
Valdez as well.
That's right, aye, Valdez. Who's the guy from Puerto Rico, Cotto, or Abner Cotto. He fought him. And I think he might have fought Ramirez.
Didn't Andre Ward fight Tim Bradley? I think they mentioned that at one point on the broadcast, didn't they? Yeah.
I think he did. I think he did. Yeah, I did. I just pulled up Lomachenko's amateur record here. So he's fought Jose Carlos Ramirez. That's the one we're just talking about there, fighting Josh Taylor. Craig Evans for Wales. Abner Cotto. Silamov. Andrew Selby. Stopped him in 3 rounds. Felix Verdejo. Yeah, a few of them, but don't get the kind of faces pros, did they? I don't think so.
Couple of sourced here. Andy Jean Pascal twice beat Adonis Stevenson. Danny Garcia and Terence Crawford have a win apiece against each other, and Crawford also beat Mikey Garcia as an amateur.
Right. Try and keep it Rigo. Obviously, nothing really kind of kicks off the top of my head there.
He beat Abner Mares, I know that.
Right.
I'm pretty sure somebody mentioned that whenever he was fighting over against Willie Casey here. Someone mentioned he'd beaten Mares. I'm not sure beyond that, though. Tyson Fury lost to David Price.
That's right, Nenito Donaire, was he on the same amateur squad as Bradley and Ward and all the guys? Because he was primarily American, no Filipino.
Fucking Golovkin beat Andy Lee as an amateur.
Did they? Alright.
Right. Roy Jones beat Richie Woodhall.
Aye, in the Olympics in '88, that's right, aye.
Yep.
Richie Woodhall was a good fighter,
semi-final. He was, aye. Semi-final. So I think amateurs. Oh, Lewis and Bo.
Yeah, Lewis and Bo. Jason Chukwu throwing one here. Henry Tillman obviously beat Tyson, didn't he? Stopped him from getting to the Olympics, and then Tyson battered him as a pro, didn't he, in the first round?
That's right.
Throwing in quite a few there.
I'm trying to think of it. Italian kid, remember the heavyweight Francisco Damiani? Remember he won the WBO heavyweight title?
Oh, him, yeah, that's right, yeah. Forgot about him. Josh Taylor beat Jeff Hearn, says Tosh in the chat, Tosh Bear Grylls.
Just me talking about amateurs and that, I know when you mentioned Josh fought Namibian in the Commonwealth Games back in 2014. Well, it had the African box was for the Olympics and that, and that kid, the Namibian, is quite highly ranked. He won the Commonwealth gold recently as well. He got beat on points, split decision I think it was. He didn't qualify for the Olympics. He got beat off some kid from Mauritius. Mm-hmm. So it was a bit of a shock actually. So is it Giuliano or something like his name is? I can't remember what his name is. Or what? No, Jonas Julianis or something like his name is pronounced, I think.
What's some of the best amateurs you saw that went on to not really produce from a pro point of view?
The first one that comes to my mind would be what's his name? There Ain't No Black in the Union Jack. Remember what's his name? That was the name of his book.
Errol Christie.
Errol Christie. Never made it as a good pro. He was a top amateur, but he just couldn't take a shot.
Yeah.
I remember destroyed him one night on commentary one night.
What you call it? For me, Adrian Carew, who was Adrian Dodson. They took his mother's name. I think Adrian Dodson. I think he was fucking unbelievable as an amateur. Fought for Guyana and then fought for England. Mm-hmm. Won ABA titles and everything. His style was fucking unbelievable. I think did he win an Olympic medal? He might have won. So he might have won a version of a world medal or Olympic medal, but and a version of some kind of world title. I think, or fought for world titles and just fell short against guys like Winky Wright and that. I think, if my memory serves me correctly, but brilliant amateur, but just didn't work out as a pro.
I've got one for you. What about Ricardo Williams? Won a silver medal at the 2000 Olympics in Australia, and he never made it as a pro. He ended up doing time in the end, I think.
Can't remember that name, mate.
Ricardo Williams.
What about I would need to mention Andrew Selby. Because there's been issues there. I remember when he got beat off Rhys McFadden in the Commonwealth Games. There was allegations about going down in the flight back to Wales, pished as a fucking newt, causing problems and stuff, and hasn't really kicked off from him as a pro as well. But I was going to mention Solis. What about Gamboa?
Oh yeah, definitely Solis, Andy. That was a criminal waste of time.
Definitely Solis. Audley Harrison. Audley Harrison.
Well, Audley done all right for himself, I suppose, in the end, didn't he? Really.
Yeah.
But Solis is the worst.
On Big Brother, man, he was brilliant. Yeah. His career low had to be the guy from Strictly Come Dancing trying to back him down on fucking Big Brother. Like, fucking hell, man.
Chuck thrown in a good one. He said Tom Stalker. Yeah, he was an excellent amateur, wasn't he? Captain of GB and everything, and he never made it at all. Yeah, as a pro.
He was a domestic level fighter. I remember he had 4 fights with. Was it Craig Evans? He had 4 fights with, or somebody along that line.
Oh, I think it was Evans. They had a trilogy. Yeah.
They fought like 2 draws and stuff. Really good fights actually. Jack Cattrall. Remember Jack Cattrall destroyed him one night as well.
That's right. It was an upset, wasn't it? Really, Cattrall beat him. It was a bit of an upset. Yeah.
It was.
I know it's a bit more. Of a higher level, but I think Kell Brook's a massive waste of talent. I really, really do.
Oh, aye, without doubt.
Smidio jumping in there. Right, let's see what else we've got to offer you before we get on to Value of the Weeks. Gabe, action from next week. Barclays Centre Brooklyn on the old PBC. Adam Kovnacki headlining against Robert Helenius. Frank Sanchez Foray keep an eye out for this guy, 14-0 Cuban. He's supposed to be 27. I think he's gone to the Luis Ortiz factory of birth certificates. There's no way this guy's 27. Fighting for the vacant WBC Continental Americas title against the slickest white dude on the planet, Joey DeVecco. Efia Jagba definitely ain't slick. Going in against Razvan Kajanu, a few other fighters of note. It's a bit of a heavyweight special then, Gabe, really. Kovnacki against Helenia, Sanchez against DeVecco, a Jagba against Kajanu. You'll be tuning in here on USA Fox. Gabe, you there? That's what Gabe thinks about my questions, not interested. Any interest in that one, Andy? Heavyweights on Fox, no?
Not really, mate. To be honest with you, Helenia. I mean, I suppose Gabe would have been the man to talk to about Helenius and that. You know, the absolute Nordic nightmare. But I suppose he's rebuilding. Kawanaki's getting, you know, up in the rankings and stuff. I expect Kawanaki to basically. I expect him to stop him. I've never really rated Helenius, and I've no comment on Frank Sanchez and that Joey DeWacco, but I'll be interested to see how a Jagba and Kajanu go, because you know, Kajanu obviously went the distance with Parker,
Woman.
And Dubois smashed him 2 or 3 rounds and stuff. So
Yeah.
to be honest, I actually think he's I think it's him anyway, or maybe it's somebody else I'm thinking. No, it's Dinu, Bogdan Dinu. That's what it was. It's the cruiserweight I'm thinking about. I thought this guy might have been fighting or campaigning at cruiserweight in the past, but no, he's not. It's someone Dubois smashed up. I think Gorman beat him as well.
Yep.
So I'll maybe say a Jagba, maybe stops him. Actually, I'm going to go along those lines. He had an exciting fight the last one as well.
Yeah, it was against
Kaladze.
Kaladze, wasn't it? Yeah, it was a good fight.
Yeah, really good fight.
A couple of the guys thrown in amateurs, Frankie Gavin and Anthony Agogo as well in the chat being chucked in. Rob, did you want to jump in there on something?
Ogogo was a strange one.
Say,
he was Mr. Glass, by the way. The injuries he had was criminal. And the car for Norway as well, Steve.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead, Rob.
Vacant WBF heavyweight.
I can't remember what I was going to say, though, Steve, to be honest with you. What were we talking about? Oh, yeah. No, forget it. It's too late now.
Doesn't matter. We'll come back to you in a minute on Carol Quigg. Sorry, Andy, tell us about the WBF thing.
No, just to say there's a vacant WBF light heavyweight title on the line in Norway next week as well. Tim Ruben Luwig fighting Vartan Yevnatsian for, I think it's Armenian, but he's based in Germany. Yeah, so to be honest, this is one of the very rare 12-round fights that we get in the professional boxing in Norway these days. So I guess it'll be on pay-per-view as well on Viasat TV, so a nice 400 kroners to pay, so a nice £40 to fork out for that card if you're interested.
Jesus, more money than sense anybody who shells out for that. Gabe, I believe, is back with us. Gabe, I was talking about Kovnacki against Helenius, Efia Jagba on the card as well. Any interest in this Fox Sports attraction?
Now, Steve, come on now. You know that I'm interested in it with the Nordic Nightmare back on the scene. This is classic. Back so you weren't around for it, and I think a lot of maybe the listeners that are with us now maybe weren't around for it, but back in the day when we had the website and the forum and all that good jazz, I made all kinds of nonsense posts about Helenius winning the world championship. That at that time Vladimir Klitschko was the man, and it seemed like someone tall like Helenius, and he was in much better shape back then from what I remember. I mean, not that he's ever been a tremendous specimen. He's never been an AJ kind of guy or anything like that. But I think he was in better shape back in those days. I always went on with the lads about him winning. Someday maybe taking over the whole show. Obviously hasn't panned out that way at all. But some part of me, I guess, is eager to see him fight whenever he does fight, just because I feel like even though I've made an ass of myself joking around about the guy, it would be funny to see him win, and it would be funny to see him do something big. I don't think it's ever going to happen. I don't never really believed anything like that was going to happen because he's always been a slow guy. Just never really that tremendous of a fighter, to be honest with you. But they've started using him as kind of a live body for the PBC fighters. Maybe if he's in good shape, which I don't feel like he's been in a long time, to be perfectly clear. But maybe if he's in shape, he can beat a guy like Nowaczki. I feel like it could be a good, decent fight. I mean, look, I think you got to take into account the shape of both guys. One guy's pretty big guy, not in really good shape. The other guy's a bigger framed guy, but always looks a little bit on the untrained side. He's always a little bit soft, but never flabby like the others. So, I mean,
he's got a decent engine, though, hasn't he? Kovnacki. I think he'll outwork Helenius. No way will Helenius keep up with that pace.
Oh, no, I don't think so. I really don't. I think his pace, and he's got a good pace for such a big guy. He's got a pretty decent motor, so I don't really see Helenius doing anything short of really nailing him with something that he doesn't see coming and stopping the fight that way. But I don't believe that'll happen because Nowaczki seems to have a pretty good chin on him too. There's always a chance, but I don't think it's there because Helenius he's never been like a huge monster puncher. Yeah, he can punch pretty good, it seems, from some of his fights back whenever he was, I guess, in what we might consider now to be his prime early on in his career. But now, I think people look at him and they don't see much, and I don't know really that you could because he's been fairly inactive. Hasn't done anything whenever he has fought, gotten beaten a few times. So, in the grand scheme of things, this fight doesn't really do much for the heavyweight division. I don't really see how it could do too much for either one of these fighters other than keep them busy, maybe looking for the next level up kind of deals. But, I mean, it should be a fun fight. I think it'll be a fun fight to watch, even though it doesn't have a whole lot of meaning to it. Kind of one of those things. Who else did you say was on the card?
F.A. Jagba.
No, couldn't give a fuck.
No, not fussed on him. Rob, decent Saturday night fair next weekend in Manchester. There's worse domestic fights cards than this, I think. Callum Johnson going in for the vacant European title against Igor Michalkin, former drugs cheat who we saw getting beaten by Sergey Kovalev. Zach Parker against Rowan Murdoch could be a decently evenly matched fight. No interest in Hughie Fury against Pavel Sauer. This was supposed to happen on a previous card, but Fury got injured. Scott Fitzgerald's off the card. Anthony Fowler fights Jack Flatley again. Decent fight that. But the main event, I'm assuming, is Scott Quigg against John O'Carroll. Quigg can punch a bit, but he's a little bit one-dimensional. Carroll can box a bit, but he can't punch. Any of interest in the fights on this card?
Yeah, I was interested when I saw the head-to-head between quick-witted and sharp-tongued Scott Quigg and equally...
My boxing brain.
Yeah, equally quick-witted John O'Carroll. John O was having a field day with him in the head-to-head. Poor Scott Quigg, he can barely fucking get the sentences together, to say him coherently. It's tough. It's a tough watch. I felt bad for him, and that's it. Whoever thought that was a fucking good idea to sell the fight, let's get Scott Quigg down in a verbal war with John O'Carroll, who's McGregor light at times, isn't he? I like John O'Carroll. I think he gave a good account of himself with the volume he threw against Tevin Farmer. Just was never going to beat Farmer, but hung in there and made it a fight for as much as he can for a guy with his experience. So he's put him, again, he's selling himself. He knows the game. He's brash or whatever, but he'll have to back it up now with a win against Scott Quigg. I don't even know if that's an easy fight for him. He looked poor enough in the draw he got against some Italian, I think, wasn't it, before he got the fight against Farmer. So big questions to be asked of John O'Carroll in that one. I don't know if he has the answers. I'd have to. That's the kind of fight I'd have to see for a couple of rounds and see what Quigg has. But I don't know. I think maybe on volume, O'Carroll might be able to wear him down, but Quigg will be in that fight for sure. And the rest of them, I couldn't give a fuck about him.
Okay, Smido, any interest for you? You and Ozzy getting around Porky's front yard watching this? on Sky Sports.
Do you know what, Steve? Like, I look forward to some of the Saturday night cards. Because we tend not to get a lot of boxing at prime time on Sky Sports as a Sky Sports subscriber. I don't think that's good enough. There was a couple of good ones last year that I called out. That I watched, the Newcastle card, Ritson and the like that was on it, and where Fitzgerald and Cheeseman were on the undercard or whatever, that was decent for a Saturday night. I believe that Avanesian and Kelly's going to be on a Saturday night card, but this is not good enough. This weekend's shit. It's shit, and I'm not interested in it at all. Hughie Fury, not interested. Fowler's going to run over Jack Flatley by the looks of it, not interested. That Zach Parker's decent, but he's not signed up to the Matchroom. He's not a full subscriber to the Matchroom train, is he? So, I know that he's got potential. So I might catch him. I'm not interested in Scott Quigg against John O'Carroll, to be honest. Like, Scott Quigg got beat by Frampton, was the Sky man before that, being pushed heavily on Sky. Got beat by Frampton pretty soundly, although the cards didn't reflect that, the official cards. Since then, he's been in America. He's been training in America, fighting in America. Hardly been seen on a Matchroom show at all, and then he comes in and he's headlining a Saturday night fight card. Like, I'm not really interested in Scott Quigg. John O'Carroll. The one thing I'll say about John O'Carroll, right? He's been training, I think, pretty much alongside. Rob might correct me. He's been training alongside Tevin Farmer since the Tevin Farmer defeat. It looks like he's been putting some really good work in, John O'Carroll. This is the man who won Prize Fighter back in the day, Steve. Yeah.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah, you're right too, Smith. Yeah, dead on.
Yeah, I think he's been putting in some real work. So I won't be writing off John O'Carroll in this fight, to be fair. But no, I'm not interested. I won't be watching it, to be honest with you, and I'm disappointed at the card as a whole. Quigg and Carroll, from a betting perspective, is pretty close. Almost 50-50. Don't quote me on that, but it is close to being a 50-50 in terms of odds. I won't bore you with the differences, but yeah, it's pretty much a coin flip online. Quigg the slight favourite. But yeah, as Rob said, I'd probably be a Carroll man in this if I had to pick, but I won't be watching and I ain't interested.
Yeah, I've got no interest in Scott Quigg. I wish he'd just retire. I thought he had retired. He's got a bit of a pointless career. I'm not impressed with him at all. I mean, he was on the way up and Frampton beat him, but he's just been hanging around. And yeah, Andy, I'll be honest, I think this is okay. Saturday night fair. Fowler, Flatley, Hughie Fury for the casuals, Parker, Murdoch, Quigg, Carroll, Johnson, Michalkin, his European title. I don't think it's too bad, to be honest. I mean, on a regular basis, every month or so, they should be putting cards of this calibre. I disagree with the boys. I think this is alright.
Yeah, this is kind of your bog standard Saturday night fight night, what we kind of used to kind of expect and stuff. But I'm looking forward to kind of Callum Johnson against McKilkin, European title fight. I like John O'Carroll. I'm a fan of his. I'm on record as saying that maybe no the first, second, third or fourth attempt, but I think he could get to a world title at some point. Obviously things need to go in his favour and that to maybe get there, because lack of knockouts and that, but he leaves it all on the line, and I know getting out pointed by Tevin Farmer doesn't kind of bode well and stuff, but I just like the cut of his jib, I just like the way he fights. I think he'll cause a lot of people problems. This fight against Quigg, I expect these two guys to kind of meet each other in the middle, and I think it might be a bit of war. It might even be a bit of domestic kind of fight of the year, possibly as well. I'm trying to remember when the Quigg last fight actually. The last time I seen Quigg fight must have been Valdez. Has he fought since then?
He fought, didn't he? Who did he fight? It wasn't Vitu, was it? No, can't remember, Andy. To be honest, I don't know.
Yeah, he's fought since then. He's fought since then. He's got a win against that some fellow I'd never heard of, Mario Briones.
Right, I just pulled up his record there.
I was at that show. I was at that fight.
That's October 2018 since he last
fought.
Fuck's
sake. That's right, yeah. That was in Boston.
Oh well.
Oh god.
Okay, if you're I'm going to say Carroll beats him on points. It'll be an exciting kind of mini war. I'm going to say John O'Carroll wins it on points. Plus, he's a southpaw as well, so you never know, might cause Quigg some problems, unless Quigg brings his thinking brain this time.
No.
I'm just trying to look something up here. One of the guys in the chat is saying that the Callum Johnson fight's off, postponed until May. Is this another Dan Raphael's dead moment?
Interesting, because this fight was delayed before. Surely no. Give me a second, I'll try and see if I can find something here. Hang on.
Try and have a look. If anybody knows anything, let us know.
The card shit.
He had the fleece on again last night, Raphael did.
Somebody needs to steal that for him, by the way.
But like, I'm wondering now, is he trolling it? Because it looked kind of clean last night. And generally it looks worse for wear. So has he just got a new fleece that he just keeps? He's in on the joke now, and he just wears the fleece like to try and fool us, like, so calling double bluff.
Yeah, it's
according to Benson, the fight is
May 2nd.
This shows shit, man. You're right, Smido.
Yeah, I did wonder then when you said you quite like it. It's fucking shit, man.
It's going to end up on the white Povetkin card, by the looks of it. Fucking hell, man.
It's
why you mentioned that? White Povetkin, I'm offended by that. They're going to put that on pay-per-view. Povetkin's 40 years old.
I know.
But he keeps getting dragged up. It was, you know, Hunter was absolutely schooling Povetkin as well. They failed 4 drugs tests between them, and they're going to put that on pay-per-view. That is bollocks.
Smido, get closer to the mic. You're a bit far away.
Bollocks.
Yeah, that's better. Go on.
Yeah, I'm just moaning about this White and Povetkin. The pay-per-view, shocking. They failed 4 drugs tests, and then they're going to have that on pay-per-view, and then we've got Chisora, who's got about 8 losses. He's on pay-per-view a month before in a fight that Usyk's not really interested in. You know, and then only a year ago, White was saying he don't want to fight Usyk because no one knows who he is. Now he's on a pay-per-view.
Right.
Smido's right, man. That is a poison pay-per-view. White versus Povetkin is pay-per-view. How much is that going to be? Like, how are they going to sell this? Povetkin's really taking it serious this time. He knows he's in the last chance saloon again. For fuck's sake. Like, I'm going to just say on a side note that's totally unrelated. I'm out with my dog walking it now, and I would never give this dog any performance-enhancing steroids that could later contaminate me.
That's Diana Bollock comments here, Robert. Diana Bollock comments.
Bad bastards. Right, before we go on to Bay of the Weeks, I've been storing this one up for a while, boys. Let's get stuck into it, shall we? From Ryan Deal. He says, following on from Dorian Darkfruit Darch, what's the best boozy boxing nicknames you can come up with? So the best boozy boxing nicknames. And Ryan threw in a few himself here before you boys get stuck in. Got Riddick Strongbow, Manny 4 Pacquiao, Marlon Carling Starling, Kudryashov, the White Russian Hammer, Stella Arter Beterbiev, Bob Foster's, and Shandy Lee. So, anybody want to throw?
I had Terence Budweiser, Steffi Bulmers for the Irish contingent.
Special Brew Brook.
Oh, there's Big Baby Miller Light. Who had that one? Big Baby Miller Light.
I think that was Hey to Dave, wasn't it?
Yeah, good man, Dave.
We gave you a few. And you don't take a note of them, though.
Yeah, you come up with a good one, Andy. You said Mikkel Kestrel.
Mikkel Kestrel, I like that.
A couple from me: Dillian Diamond White, Le Mans Special Brewster. Gabe.
Jack Daniels Kapora.
Oh yes, sorry, Smido came in with Injin Chi. That was a good one. Go on, Gabe. Sorry.
Jack Daniels Tapora.
Badu Jack Daniels.
Badu Jack. Badu Jack and the Beanstalk. No, that's from Mr. Bean. Special Case Cider. Lager Lout Austin Trout. That's Tosh in the chat. Artois Beterbiev says Trading Leather. What else we got? Manny. Some good ones from the boys here. Dillian White Lightning, yeah. Randall Bailey's. That's JG. Badu Frosty Jacks. That's MB. Yeah, that's a good one from Swaggy, that. Dillian White Lightning. Any others, boys?
I'm racking my brain. Trying to think of the drinks that I've got, but I only drink whiskey.
If anybody thinks of any, they can maybe hit us up, Andy,
there we
on the
go.
YouTube comments.
Tennant's Crawford.
Tennant's Crawford.
You could have Lyndon Village Arthur.
Oh, Smirnoff Kovalev. He got a DUI this week as well. Smirnoff Kovalev in LA.
Fucking hell, him. He's going down a bad path, isn't he, old Kovalev?
That's what happens, eh? Get all that money, baby.
Glenn's Vodka McCrory. Yeah, that's JG. Right, throw them in, boys. I'll come back to them at the end of the show. Let's get on to Belly of the Weeks and show.
Lawrence Acola.
361. I've been Rob Kelly there on the call. Gabe Lewis, Smido, Andy Patterson and me, Steve. First nomination for Belly of the Week, so episode 36. No, we're on episode 362, aren't we? Not 361. What am I on about? I think I've had a few too many myself. The first nomination comes for Isaiah Basilio Apuarosi, talking about the Wilder Fury fight last week. First knockdown was an illegal punch and Fury should have been disqualified and the referee suspended. Third fight will show who the real champion is. #Wilder. Mr. Apuarosi then put little pictures of himself flexing his muscles below. Bit like the doctor. William Lee has nominated Dillian White. Tyson Fury knows I've got what it takes to beat him, says Dillian White, as he attempts to avoid a WBC mandatory title fight. Moving on to the next one, if I don't press the wrong button here. Ross Sutherland has nominated Deontay Wilder for talking about saying that the costume was too heavy, wasn't he? No Crom, no intro anymore, I'm afraid. Not for you anyway. Cholo Andy, this is from you, nominating Eddie Hearn and the DAZN team for putting the wrong flag up behind Chocolatito. Instead of a Nicaraguan flag, they went for the flag of Mexico. What's going on here?
I don't know. They must have been it must have been an American doing that fucking poster, because you know how they fuck up their geography lessons and stuff. But I did notice on Team Chocolatito's garments during the fight, that they had the Japanese flag, the Nicaraguan flag, Mexico, and probably the Sandinista one as well, I think. So, as all saying goes, genetically perfect, but environmentally misplaced.
Absolutely. JS Park has nominated PJ Fit for Life, talking about Wilder Fury. I think the fight was fixed, he says. Watched this fight 2 times. Didn't look like Fury hit him with any hard punches. Another good one here, Andy, from you, thrown in for PBC Boxing. Abner Mares. He looked like, I don't know, a balloon that had just been deflated. And then Sean Porter wearing this funny green suit. You have to see it to believe it. I couldn't even describe it.
Oh, I tell you what, that suit
Crazy.
that Mares is wearing, it looks like it belonged to Apollo Creed, and then got handed down to fucking Mares just to put on for a joke.
I think he was trying to fucking do Fury's ring walk, like, wasn't he? That's what he was doing.
Is that what it was?
For the crack, yeah. And then Porter always dresses like some kind of funky leprechaun anyway, so he was rocking out in his green 3-piece and purple shirt. Fucking thank God for HD television, man. That'd fuck up the fucking signal back in the old days, like. But yeah, Mares just look fucking pathetic on him, like the big Tyson Fury gown. Shout out to Kate Abdo, or whatever her name is. What's her name?
Kate
Shout out to her.
Paula Abdul.
Matthew Macon's a big fan of her, by the way.
Is he? Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Chocolatitos.
Chocolatitos. As the gringos into the Boozy.
Moving on, Gavin Stevens has nominated The Bomber. Leave him alone, he's turning up on Soccer AM, taking a penalty and falling over.
That was wrong. Did he actually feel he scored, did he?
No, he scored, but he fell over. He fell on his arse after taking the penalty. Like.
Excellent.
He was down like when Usyk fucking knocked him out, just all spread eagled. I didn't remember. Jimmy Bullard went up to try and fucking lift him up. He didn't even needed a forklift, but just leave him alone. And then he's on there saying, "Yeah, I think Anthony Joshua has the style to beat Tyson Fury." What's making you say that, Tony? What's making you come to that conclusion? On Sky's Soccer AM, I wonder. As a Sky pundit, yeah, absolute banger. Fucking hell, we'll never forget.
We'll never forget, fell on his own leg. Tony Bellew is back in the spotlight, talking to the Master Knowledge himself, Spencer Fearon. You were spot on, brother, he says, regarding Fury Wilder. Master Knowledge says, you know. And then Lions Den 2020 jumped in. There's a reason I call you Spencer the Don Fearon. Terry Woodfine has nominated him for that. Colin Simpson has nominated Frankie Allen. Got myself some new security, says Frankie. Who the fuck fancies heckling me now? And there he is with the 4 Smith brothers, including Smigger, who's looking increasingly like Jim Royal. Boxing my arse, old Smigger there. He's looking in bad shape, isn't he? Old Smig. Turtle and Bear has nominated Ryan Garcia. Ryan tweeted out, sometimes when you're tired after a long day and you're by yourself, you just want to cuddle. Oh, there you go. Ryan Garcia. He's playing to the audience, isn't he? What about this one then, guys, from Matt Dobson Boxstead?
Fucking shithead. Who the fuck... He's on the last fucking Fight Hype video saying he's practicing the Sugar Ray Robinson left hook and then he wants a cuddle. Fucking prick. Bathing his tears.
Bathing his tears. A bit of back and forward between Amir Khan, Kell Brook and Errol Spence. I felt a bit sorry for Brook. They're all ganging up on him, aren't they? I respect man who comes out and live their truth, says Errol Spence. I have people in my family that's gay and we treat them all the same. They call him the truth for a reason, says Amir. Picking on poor old Kell, who responded, and they call you a webcam wanker for a reason, but you carry on with your Snapchat soap opera of a life and being a poor man's Umar Kamani with that new bonnet. Kell, firing back.
I love that. That's great stuff. I didn't expect Kell to get so vile with him, but he did.
Yeah, they're going in on poor Kell. Michael McElway has nominated the Catalyst 610.
Who's going into poor Kell?
Can't comment, Andy. Can't comment.
Oh, right.
Maybe a bit of IBO love here. The Catalyst 610 having a go at the Ring magazine, calling them out because they're owned by Golden Boy for not recognising one of the major belts, the IBO. Interesting, in the picture, the Ring magazine belt is listed, which is Golden Boy owned, which is not one of the 4 major belts and is 100% not needed to become undisputed. But the IBO isn't. Hashtag let's keep it fair, people. You know, Michael, I have to agree with the Catalyst there. Let's keep it fair with the IBO. This is the good one, Andy. I like this. Sky Sports are notorious for this, aren't they? Talking about Joseph Parker. Joseph Parker has already ruled the world and fallen from the heavyweight summit, but hurtful lessons have primed him for another title fight. What? He won like a vacant WBO against Andy Ruiz?
I forget whose belt. Was that one of Fury's belts? I'm sure it was.
Yes, it was one of Fury's, vacant WBO against Ruiz, but he's already ruled the world and fallen from the heavyweight summit.
Yeah, so no, fucking hell. You know, that reign of terror who had the fucking heavyweight division on notice and hiding and hibernation. Absolute fucking shit show, man. Sky would just end. Sky could sell sand to the Iranians and fucking alcohol to a fucking die-hard Muslim, by the way. Fucking no problem. The shite that they'd conjure up is unbelievable. I mean, this is the guy who went distance with Kajanyu, who was his sparring partner. I mean, that Hughie Fury fight, I didn't even want to even think about that. It gives me the crawls just fucking thinking about that fight. Maybe give the coronavirus as well, just thinking about it. Fuck's sake.
Chris Mason, who was seen in the chat, has nominated Dard Zinak. I believe, he said to Deontay Wilder, you will win the rematch, but I do hope you get some boxing masterminds in your camp. Can't count on the KO power, only this has to be smart boxing for every round. Rich at SuperDicky193 has nominated Alexander Usyk for whiskey. He was claiming that Alexander Usyk is scared of Joseph Parker's speed. David Almond has nominated Joseph Ajayo THD PhD. Derek Gemstone said, Joseph, after watching your videos on AJ beating Ruiz and listening to your advice, you mentioned that you were a heavyweight once. How would you have got on against Tyson Fury? And the doctor said, concisely, I will cow down a bit, bend my knees, stand on my right toes, double jabs, feign before I use accurate straight right hands, footwork, weave and bob. I will counterpunch, says the doctor, by going to his body. He hates body punches, and I will work on stamina and open his stitches back up. So that's how Joseph Ajayo would deal with Tyson Fury. Michael Buffer, Andy, has been nominated by you. Going back and forward over Dillian White's 21-21 February world title shot. What's going on with Buffer? Why is he so outspoken? The big shill. Is it even him?
See, is that even him? See that tweet he sent out, actually? If you watch the Eddie Hearn interview with Coogan, like, say, 2 days after Fury won against Wilder, Hearn says the exact same thing that's in that tweet. So, just saying, like, 50-50 chance it's either Buffer or it's Hearn, because people were saying if it was Buffer, where he's based, it would be like 2 o'clock in the morning, so at least if he's got up for a pish, like, so these guys at this age need to get up at least 5 times a night to go for a pish, good chance he's maybe still awake at a time of night.
And Eddie as well this week, he said he'd give this epic speech, didn't he, that they were all clipping, saying that if you're the type of person that has negativity and you just complain about the sport all the time, just delete your accounts because you're deeply unhappy inside. So Eddie, this beacon of positive energy, went on then in his IFL interview to start taking cheap shots at other organisations for not paying fighters on time. Like, what the fuck is he doing? What's he talking about other people's business for? Talking about DAZN pays everybody every penny that they're on time. We're not like these other promoters in this dirty game, blah, blah, blah. So, Eddie, don't be fucking projecting your negative energy onto us, okay? Delete your account. Yeah, fucking ban it.
Well said, Rob. Jasper has nominated Rick Glazer. I don't know if this is Rick Glazer's actual account on Twitter, but Rick tweeted out, because of the coronavirus, my wife and I will not be eating any Chinese food until this epidemic is straightened out. It's not the fear, but we all need to penalise the Chinese everywhere for this worldwide outbreak. Everyone should follow this. Please retweet, thank you.
The biggest positivity come out of this actually is the pollution levels in China at the minute, especially around about Wuhan. It's practically down to zero considering what it was like a year ago. So at least there's one positive. So at least Greta Thunberg will be happy about the lack of pollution in the atmosphere.
Maybe they could get Busta Rhymes to do a concert for them all to make them feel better and say, Wuhan got you all in check. You know what I mean? That'd be good for them, wouldn't it?
Loving that niche gag from Rapping Rob Kelly there. Not Rapid Rob Kelly. Rapping Rob Kelly.
Rigid Rob. Hey.
Rigid
Change
Rob
your
Kelly.
Rob, stop putting the accent on. Drop it right now. Drop
yes,
the accent.
Folks. This is the way I really speak, good old chaps.
Yeah.
What do you think I talk like?
I knew you're a bit Anglo-Saxon about you, by the
way.
Yeah. God save us.
Yeah, hold on there. I got one for you later. We wait on that one.
Oh, there you go. Well, let's move on with Value of the Week swiftly. Bobby, at Bobby861986, has nominated Lewis Carroll. Not Lewis Carroll, but he's living in a fantasy land, this Mr. Carroll. Why is everyone jumping on Tony Bellew for this? It's a valid point about AJ against Tyson Fury. Joshua fought a far better version of Vladimir Klitschko and got to him. Plus, he's evolved as a fighter since then. You have to make Fury the favourite, but I find it laughable that people are writing AJ off. So Lewis reckons that Joshua fought a far better version of Klitschko than Tyson Fury, apparently. Okay. JS Park 10 has nominated Matthew Macklin. Not sure who was more comprehensively defeated last night, Cal Yafai or Matthew Macklin, in his multiple vain attempts to pronounce the word chocolatito correctly. Terry Woodfine sent in a question. We'll deal with that next week. That's all the ones I've got, boys.
Oh, well, we gotta fucking get to the main man. The main man. Fuck me. First of all, it's Kenny Bayless's fault. Kenny Bayless didn't shoot me a fair shot. I can't seem to get a break with these referees. I thought he would disqualify Fury for hitting me behind the head, even though I hit him behind the head multiple times. So it's obviously Kenny Bayless's fault. Now it's Mark Breland's fault.
I've got
because Mark Breland
in the back of my head and the back of my neck and that. I felt it in the morning. It was so lumpy. I felt like fucking porridge.
Not making excuses, but my leg was at me. And then Mark Breland, I need to die in the ring. You don't throw the towel in. Who the hell are you, Mark Breland, 2-time world champion, Olympic gold medalist, talking about saving me and get me a fucking, as Andre Ward rightly pointed out, saving him for a fucking rematch. So he wasn't absolutely fucking going out there in a bad way, and that's not an exaggeration. So fucking, and then who else's fault? The fucking Black Power Ranger outfit that he wore to the ring. It's his fault. 40 pounds weight took it out of his legs, and it had nothing to do with the fucking left hook right hand that Fury hit him in the third round. That had nothing to do with it. He didn't even hurt him.
Surely, Rob, surely he must have tried. He must have had that tailored to him and tried it on before. You're not just going to randomly stick that on before you're about to do a ring walk, are you?
What did he do? Did it fly onto him like some fucking kind of fucking Power Rangers? You know what I mean?
Like a transformer.
He's just jumped out and he's walking out.
He paid $60,000 for the fucking thing. Of course he tried it on.
Because he was trying to make a statement for Black History Month. Well, he's made a statement out of
Black and
White history as the worst fucking excuse ever known to man. And even if that's true, credit to AJ afterwards. I know he gave his hour-long interview or whatever, but he went back to the gym after that. Like, this fella has come out with every excuse under the sun in less than 24 hours after getting completely fucking dominated. He has to go down. Shannon McCann was right. I call it Beyonce Wilder after this, because this was, you don't blame an outfit malfunction on your legs going. I don't give a shit if it's 40 pounds or not. He's 6'7" at the same time. Do you know what I mean? It's a 200-yard walk, like.
He trains. He trains with the same fucking weight vest on as well. On Joe Rogan, he admitted that he wears a 40-pound vest.
Yes, exactly. And then which makes that excuse way worse. The fact that he's already said that he trains with that kind of weight strapped to him, so he was conscious of the fucking, gave himself away with the weight, even saying that 40 pounds. So like, it's the biggest joke of all time. And the thing about Wilder is, I don't go with the narrative that Wilder can't box. He did try to box for the first 2 rounds last week. He was trying stuff, landed a couple of times with the right hand, tried the jab to the body and everything, but he could do nothing with Fury. And in 2 fights, he's been able to do nothing with him, bad those knockdowns, when Fury, if we have to believe everything he says, was maybe fucking 50%. He didn't certainly look fucking as good as he looked last week in the first fight. And he did what he wanted with him. And that's the fucking raw truth. And Wilder is souring his legacy, I think, going on like this. Like, it's absolutely pathetic. And he's surrounded by yes men as well.
Yeah, that is true. But we also need to add in the fact as well that he mentioned that Mark Breland was actually influenced by Anthony Dirrell.
That was the other one,
Anthony Dirrell, who apparently knows Sugar Hill, who was the opposite trainer.
Yeah, I heard that's bollocks.
Oh my god!
Imagine saying that, like, to even say that about, you know, Mark Breland, like, as if he'd know that their relationship with Dirrell is stronger than the one with the fucking fighter. Like, it's an absolute joke. And look, he banned Paulie Malignaggi off the broadcast for this time around and covering doing media coverage on the fight, because Malignaggi criticised him, said he wouldn't think he'd be able to make adjustments after the first fight. Fragile ego. Lou DiBella got canned for trying to make a move to DAZN on his behalf after he had gone up to Fury in the ring and said, "I thought you won." So he doesn't want people telling him the truth, obviously, and he's come up with it, and nobody around him has said to him, "Deontay, I don't think this is a good idea, dude, in the dressing room. Just take your defeat. You got beat badly. It's going to look bad. Just say things weren't right on the night and move on." Like, don't fucking let him come out and say it was my fucking Black Power uniform that let me down. The lasers were just too much. It's fucking pathetic. Absolutely pathetic.
The battery pack was too heavy for me. Fuck.
Yeah,
just own that. Can I just get kind of like diverge onto the fact is that the London Fire Brigade actually called Deontay Wilder on this shit.
I saw that.
So they've actually quoted his actual comment that he mentioned to Joe Rogan about the fact that he wore a 40-pound vest in training. So the London Fire Brigade tweeted to say, firefighters carry that weight whilst tackling incidents day in, day out. Get yourself into firefighting fitness, and you might stand a chance next time. So there you go, Deontay. Come over to
literal burn.
Over here. Look, heavy burns. So get over here, mate, and train as a fire officer, and you'll be fucking fighting fit, ready to go.
Right, so yeah, Deontay Wilder. I'm torn myself between Bellew and Wilder, but I liked the way the Fire Brigade called him out. I thought that was quite funny. Gabe, any nominations from you?
No, sir.
So I've got a couple, Steve.
Go on, Andrew.
John O'Carroll for saying Quigg's getting knocked out and played with. Mark my words. He's got 3 knockouts.
In that order?
He's got 3 knockouts.
Oh, he's in that order, though. It's a serious threat, if so.
Yeah, police might be wanting to be put on notice for this one. Tyson Fury, Tony Bellew, I want to go back to this. I remember Tony Bellew back in 2017 called out Tyson Fury when he was his absolute worst 25 stone fat bastard, sweating, just talking. And I watched the video actually when he said he was making a comeback, and everything he said in that video is so far wrong true. And Tony, of course, Tony Bellew's now retired, leave him alone and stuff like that. His wife's wears the pants in the house. She's not going to let him to fight again. So he's now hanging all his hat on that Joshua's going to do the fucking business against the big man. So we'll wait and see. Amir Khan as well.
Just keep it a low profile on catchphrase and soccer AM. You hardly see him. See him.
True enough. So that's it for me, mate. As I say, Deontay Wilder as well for that comment about the vest. So he had a bad week last week, Deontay Wilder, actually, in total.
Yep. Sorry, I was just reading a few comments in the chat. Okay, Chukwu. Who are you going for, Andy? I'm going to go for Wilder, I think. It's got to be Wilder this week, hasn't it?
So Jason saying it's funny how the London Fire Brigade didn't have that same energy for Deontay Wilder that they had for the Grenfell Tower. Oh well. Jason, you're a wanker, mate.
Jesus.
You're a fucking wanker,
bad,
because I've got a mate who worked on that crew, by the way. You're fucking bang out the order. You're a fucking wank.
I'm going for Wilder, Andy. Who are you going for?
I'm the same. I'm going for Wilder as well.
2 for Wilder. Who are you going for, Rob?
No, it's gotta be. Well, Sky were close with their fucking planned PR fucking assault this week, like cheap shit. But it has to be Beyonce Wilder. Not that I'd say that to him, like, but one of the girls also made at the Mayweather gym in one of these roundup videos made a point that he had his girlfriend around all week, and that's where his legs went. And see, of course, there's another yes person in the camp because they asked her before, does Deontay abstain from sex before the fights? And she said, I give Deontay sex whenever he wants it. Whenever he says he wants it, I give it to him. So, maybe his legs were worn a little bit, but again, that's on you. To this day.
Certified G-spot.
3 for Wilder then. Gabe, doesn't really matter who you vote for. So go for whoever you want.
Wilder.
Oh, he's got his belt back this week.
Yeah, congratulations. You might have lost the WBC, but you've won the Bellew of the Week. Thanks for everybody who's jumped on, I suppose. Andy Patterson here, as always. Rapping Rob Kelly, Gabe Lewis, even Smido jumped on with us earlier on. Hopefully get Dr. Joseph Ajayo, THD, PhD for episode 363. In the meantime, we'll catch you all again, same place, same time next week. I've been Steve Wellings. Bye.